Greetings, and welcome to House of R, a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin. Joining me today, her founding stones were watered with the blood of men, and she's always thirsty. It's Joanna Robinson.
Wow, likening me to a haunted castle. What could be a higher compliment, honestly?
I quite agree. Joe, we are here, of course, to dive deep
all the way down
into the 5th episode somehow already of the 3rd season of House of the Dragon. We're going to get to it right after this. Programming reminders. Talk the Thrones right after the new episode of House of the Dragon, Sunday night with CR. That'll be on episode 6, which is batshit bonkers because this is only an 8-episode season. I don't know how that happened already, but alas, that's the case. And then Comic-Con. It's actually Comic-Con's before Talk the Thrones.
It is.
We're recording Talk the Thrones before that, but Comic-Con is before you'll watch Talk the Thrones.
It's great. I'm excited. We're going to San Diego.
Yes.
As we've mentioned 1 million times, we're doing a meetup on Thursday evening at Whiskey Girl. No badge required. And then there's a panel where you do need a badge on Saturday morning.
That's right.
And we'll just be out and about and around in San Diego and taking in panels and drooling over cosplay and enjoying the brisk sea breeze air.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a bazillion degrees.
Cool.
So that's exciting for everyone. Come hang with us as we are drenched in sweat. All of the details, times, if you're like, wait, where was that? When? On the social channels, on the social handles. Speaking of which, follow along.
Why not?
Follow this podcast, House of R, on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. You can watch full video episodes of House of R on Spotify. Incredible stuff. And you can also watch those episodes on the Ringerverse YouTube channel. So follow along there. Joanna, where can the folks follow us on social?
Oh my gosh. At House of R pod. On TikTok, on Instagram. We're gearing up to cover the new Spider-Man movie. We're really excited about that.
Yes.
You can email us your Spider-Man thoughts, your Comic-Con thoughts, and certainly your House of the Dragon thoughts, hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com.
Delightful. Spoiler warning for today. It's the same as always. Everything that happened in this episode of House of the Dragon, we're going to talk about it. If it's ever happened in a Game of Thrones episode of television, this show, Game of Thrones proper, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it could come up today. In terms of book information, we'll have a little dabbling of context as we go today, but anything that is in the future in the text, anything from the future of Fire and Blood, we're going to save that for a quick book spoiler section at the end of the pod, and you will have a warning before that section begins if you don't want to hear it.
What about A Song of Ice and Fire? Everything A Song of Ice and Fire is on the table, right?
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Technically in the future of these characters' lives, but in the past of our coverage.
We only limit our future of to Fire and Blood. There's just a spoiler section.
We'll talk about it, but there's just like a lot of Feast for Crows and Dance Dragons stuff in the water here.
Yes.
And that's stuff that hasn't necessarily been adapted into the TV show. So it's kind of interesting what they're mining here.
One of the first things we texted each other about this episode was, my goodness, the restraint to do a Feast for Traitors and not Feast for Crows. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Admirable. I wouldn't have had the willpower. I know that much. That's the spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Those are the Comic-Con details.
Correct.
That's the intro. So let's get to the opening snapshot. All right. Quick facts. Episode 5, Unbowed and Unbent. This episode took its name from the Ormond and Daeron scene that we love so much, so that's a fun little nugget there. 64 minutes. We haven't had a short episode yet this season. I wonder if we'll have some really long ones waiting at the end of the season. Who could say for sure? Written by Philippa Goslett. This is the first episode that Philippa has written, but listed as the co-writer for the impending episode 7. Similarly, Nina Lopez Corrado directed this episode, first episode of Hot D that Nina has directed, but also directing the impending episode 7. So there's another kind of teaming of directing and writing across episodes, which we covered a lot in the beginning of the season. So that's fun. For anyone who did not watch Talk the Thrones, and if you didn't, what are you doing? Go check it out. We had a blast. We had a blast. Set the table. Just a little quick opening snapshot taste here. How did you enjoy season 3? Episode 5.
I really enjoyed it. really quickly on the director front, I want to say that we were sort of like, Claire Kilner, she's amazing. Why isn't she directing every episode? Maybe she doesn't want to direct the battle episodes or something like that. After watching the BTS for this episode and watching Nina and the entire crew trudge their way through a bog, I was like, if I'm Claire Kilner, I'm like, guess what? I'm not doing the bog episode. Have fun. This episode has everything.
Yeah,
cats.
That's right.
Witch stuff. A Lost reference. A Friday Night Lights reference. What more could I ask for?
Yeah.
Howevskis. What is a spooky closed-off tunnel if not a crevice persevering?
Which,
you know?
You abhor. You abhor a crevice of any sort, especially a crevice persevering.
Big crevice energy at the end of the episode, and a bog is sort of like a mucky crevice of a kind, so I'm just...
It can become a crevice.
I'm out
certainly,
on it.
If it sucks you in.
It can go into your crevices, for sure. Barely any dragons in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We get a little sea smoke and moon dancer action in the background.
We get a lot of Vhagar talk. We get a nice footprint that Criston crouches in.
This is what I want to talk about. There's almost
Stone
this almost like dragon synecdoche, like almost like the pieces of the dragon. We get an eye of a dragon. We get a footprint of the dragon. We get this game piece of a dragon. And so and especially for Team Green and the dragon scale that Aegon uses, right? So it's like these sort of like little pieces, little remnants of dragon for Team Green. Team Black, they're like, oh, we just got two parked back here in the back of our shot while we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
I also think that watching all these thinking about Team Green, the members of the court, Criston Cole, Larys, Tyland, et cetera, Aemond, Aegon, out in the wilderness, Gwayne, certainly a creature of the court, sort of pretty bowed, pretty bent, pretty broken, pretty muddy, pretty, Criston Cole ditches his armor and his beautiful hand of the king necklace and all of that. So just watching these courtly creatures unravel as they're trying to make their way through the wilderness. And also this thing we loved in Thrones, which we talked about plenty when we were covering Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but these unlikely duos out on the road.
Yeah.
So Aegon and Larys we've been tracking, but I think it just continued, adding Tyland into the mix is really exciting. Considering the Aemond Alys combination, who are these, Adam and Bela out on the road this week? What dynamics is cropping up there? So that's just, feeds into what I was talking about a lot on Talk of Thrones, which is just how original Thronesy this all feels.
The number of house names that were invoked in this episode. We got a salt wife mention. I mean, the little Thrones word cloud peppering across the entire episode felt really undeniable and certainly deliberate. I love what you're identifying about the cloaking or shedding or grasping for those aspects of identity. It feels very purposeful where a character like Criston, who is going to declare very boldly, we'll discuss whether we have complete buy-in to what he's saying, but is saying, I have shed myself.
It's the greatest warrior.
At last. And there will be songs of these odes, right? Whereas the characters, holding Sunfire's scale, etc., the pieces of the dragon trying to reclaim aspects of identity, desperately searching for a toehold or a foothold to say, this is who I am and I'm strong again and people need to respect. You can call me your grace, right?
Yeah.
The prophecy, the dagger of
Killer
prophecy.
Aegon impression.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm missing. The mango face might work for both of us. Honestly, it's been a week. It's been a weekend. It's Tuesday.
Tuesday 11.
Dire. And I think we both and Chris really had a lot of fun on Talk of Thrones talking about those duos and also the trios, but the aspects of subbing and swapping. You have you're saying a new duo to really enjoy. In Aemond and Alys, but we have such an interesting comp then with Alys and Daemon, which is fun because Aemond and Daemon, as we've talked about since minute one, word go of the show, are characters who we are dark mirrors of each other, right? Or we're comparing them all the time.
George made it really subtle.
He's super subtle. Let's
take the D
and put it at the end.
Phrasing.
Keep it in your pants. No, House of Art contains adult content. They know that going in.
Mm-hmm. I was just waiting for you to finish that phrasing.
And what is a parallel experience across character sets, even when those characters think they're in opposition to each other? The way that Aemond and Aegon are talking about each other, which character is going to be able to push through and find some accountability? Strong in that respect. We typically go, this is much like episode 4, like a little bit more of a traditional, less built around one monumental moment and set piece. We're moving through character sets. We're going back and forth to the same grouping 3-4 times in an episode, right? A lot of conversations, either
7 times. One of them you go back to like 7 separate
either
times.
in elegant rooms or gnat-infested bogs, whichever the case may be. And so typically we go chronologically through the episode, but this time we're actually going to cluster by character set because it just feels like the only way to do it today. I gotta say, the cats in the episode, a thrill and a joy and a delight.
Yes.
Alan's ideas put into action immediately. But we would be remiss if we did not mention the work that the House of the Dragon and HBO social teams are doing on the cat content front.
I mean, just in general, it's been out of control this season. It's so good. And like the amount of work they did in advance on set, like getting people to do like really fun reaction memes to the episode while they were in costume on set is like incredible forethought. Like I just really appreciate the work they've done. But yes, there's cat cam content.
It's just great.
I sent it to a friend of mine. I mean, I sent it to you, one of my dearest, fondest friends. But I sent it to a friend of mine who loves all cat content. And she doesn't watch the show. And she's like,
I'm in.
And she's like, not even this cat content can get me to watch the show because I don't trust the show not to kill those cats. And I was like, I can't argue against that, but I hope it'll be okay.
It's always a concern on that front. No question.
Can I hit you with this text my pal Sam sent
Please?
About sort of books 4 and 5 of A Song of Ice and Fire and their sort of influence on the season? He texted me, I think I already texted you about how the Rhaenyra stuff feels very Cersei in A Feast for Crows coded. And so if people haven't read that book, that sort of like dissension into paranoia inside of Cersei's mind is a huge part of that book. That's less, I would say, a part of the show. Cole's soulful, All Might Be Lost, March to the Riverlands is very Jomi coded. Aegon and Larys on the Run feels very Tyrion in A Dance with Dragons aboard the Shy Maid. Feels like Aemond has some Euron potential if given the requisite dose of werewood paste. Obviously, Ormund has given off some Ramsay by way of the 7 fanaticism fumes. But the dynamic they've set up with Daeron is pure John Con Young Griff stuff, which you've tracked, Fagon. We'll continue to track this. So like this is going to come up, but I think it's really fascinating. If in the fan fiction of my mind, a prompt that the writer's room for this show set for themselves is like, how can we make season 3 feel Thronesier? And if an answer given the bare bones source material we're working with in Fire and Blood, and if an answer they came up with was, what about all the stuff in A Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons, which was not adapted? And how can we mine that sort of stuff? So even stuff like the Savas game that shows up in this episode is A Dance with Dragons stuff, So I just think that's a real possibility of just a rewarding thing for book readers who were disappointed. Are we going to get, I don't know, Arya Martell stuff? Like what sort of like abandoned plot lines could inspire future things on this show? It'd be really exciting.
It's fun. I mean, I've basically freaked out being able to call fake Daeron Farron because of the Fagon Young Griff thing, and you supported me as you do, and Chris was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that's our journey and shared experience together on Talk to Thrones, and we have a great time, folks. I'm into it. Obviously, there's so much there to mine. I think it is an interesting choice given the relationship that George R.R. Martin has to how this television show is adapting his work.
I almost
but it's
see
obviously
it as
not a literal adaptation. It's more taking elements from the world and like centering them.
But
Maybe he'll feel honored.
I almost see it as like, see, George, we are making a show that is very much in your world, sir. I
love
it. One thing I wanted to respond to, something we got pushed back, or I would say more I got pushed back on last week, was my astonishment over the way that Alan was just sort of like appointed to the small council by his dad. And a bunch of people wrote in saying like, isn't this what Tywin did with Tyrion? And I would say no, because the king in that instance is a child, Joffrey. and Tywin is like head of that family, which is not Corlys's position inside of this power structure.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion is the uncle of the king,
Right.
brother of the queen regent, and a creature of the court and a canny strategist.
Yes.
Alan, Lord love him, has
Yeah.
great ideas about cats, but he's a sailor.
Also,
right?
all those things are true. And when Tyrion sits down, there's a lot of like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what
here?
the
Mostly
fuck?
from Cersei. Because of their
Absolutely,
relationship.
what the fuck? But yes, like, did a Hand of a King, in Crow's Hand of the Queen, but a Hand of the King in a previous Thrones show, just put their son on the small council? Yes, but the circumstances, I think, are wildly different.
I would also say that the point was less about are Nepo babies abundant in Westeros, which of course they are all the time. That's like kind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? Legacy, our house.
Dynasty.
We're obsessed.
Yeah.
Dynasty. But more the fact that everybody accepted immediately that the internship was afoot.
Oh, this is fine.
Yeah, that was more the wait, what? Not that Corlys tried to do it, honestly. That feels completely
No, and not that, like, I think Alan will be terrible at it. Like, obviously, again,
Alan thriving already. The Cat's plan, it's great. He's like, we're going to start rebuilding the fleet.
Yeah.
Focused. Attention to the
Is he doing
matters
like
of the realm.
master of ship work then? You know what I mean?
Listen, let's just say this. A lot of the other members of the council are spending all of their time trying to take down each other or gossiping in clear earshot of everybody else.
But gossip is important work.
I would happily watch a 24-hour live stream. You know when there's like a bird about to be born, some rare bird, and they put the little camera on it, you can just watch in case a little beak pokes through the shell?
I do know what you're talking about.
I would tap into a version of that for Torrhen Manderley and Sabbath Frey, explaining the matters of the court to each other. Oh, the White Wall. Doing a little of my Viserys' wilting and dying voice for Torrhen, but it was a very breathy whisper that carried across the
whore.
Great stuff. Just great stuff.
You know how my tradition for our work Slack is that my work Slack photo is like
Simon Strong.
Well, it was Simon Strong. Before that, it was Lyman Beesbury. I picked like an old fun guy.
Yeah. Torrhen
Manderley. I mean, Dan Fogler's not that much older than I am, but like, just like that kind of energy.
Yeah.
That kind of Lyman Beesbury,
honor.
Simon Strong. I think it's time to make Torrhen Manderley my
Let me
Slack
say this.
image.
That would be more appropriate than him making it onto the opening credits tapestry of history.
I would say he being on the tapestry of history was more appropriate than Sabbath of Frey being there a week early.
A shocking bit of clarity that we now have after seeing, the headdress.
Yeah.
That's clearly what that is,
Yeah.
right? And so now the new shot
The
that we
whispering.
get this, the whispering, the new element we get this week. Are we supposed to assume that every week there's just a minor tease of something yet to come that is not relevant in the great flow of history? That's a real change for how that opening tapestry is used.
It felt like this week Corlys is sort of like unraveling because he is left. I feel like they're not really adhering closely to like this week on sort of ideas.
I think that there should be a higher bar for who makes the tapestry of history, even if it is temporary.
I don't know, because
even if we're doing the Penelope and we're stitching it and then we're taking it out.
Sabbath of Frey and Torrhen Manderley are members of the small council.
But now they're gone. They're not even there anymore. They're not in the tapestry anymore. They were there for a second.
They're there. They're just in a different corner of the tapestry. We're like moving around the tapestry. Anyway, weekly Bard Corner really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Our guy Aiden wrote in 2 quotes from King Lear for tonight. Aiden wrote.
Love it.
In honor of Aemond and Aegon ranting about how much easier the other had it, and Criston's critique of the Westerosi class system, quote, wherefore base, when my dimensions are as well compact, my mind as generous, and my shape as true as honest madam's issue. There's a lot of bastard bitterness in King Lear.
Sure.
And then in honor of Daemon's enhanced interrogation techniques, quote, out vile jelly.
Amazing. Really pulled that eye out with a quickness. Yeah.
A little slurp pop sort of situation.
Some incredible, this is how we did the prosthetics of the gouged eyes and the slit eyes and also all of the entrails on the table stuff on House the Dragon's Built. Once again, if you're not watching, treat yourself. It is a real testament to the craft and particularly disgusting this week.
I thought that
really enjoyed it.
The footage of Matt Smith sort of blocking in his entrance and he's like, what ho, that's a lot of blood. Tough at the top, lads?
Tough at the top. Killed me.
Really good.
Great stuff.
I watched the BTS very closely this week, so I didn't make another CGI bunny mistake.
Listen,
you know,
it was
sometimes you need to be told to pay better attention.
The CGI bunny was that moment.
That's my Rubicon. I crossed it.
Incredible. Shall we head to the bowels of the pleasure den? Shall we head to the deep dive?
Let's do it.
Okay. We're starting Team Green today. And we're starting inside of Team Green with Chris Ryan's favorite characters, Criston Cole and Gwayne Hightower. Chaos at the river camp, Joe. The River Lords have redirected toward Tumbleton as instructed. They're encamped, and they're lamenting the delays that Criston Cole's tactics have caused them. Stony Sept, it's going to be the last chance to ford the river with an army this large. They have 40,000 rivermen, right? Minus a few who were left behind to garrison Harrenhal and then burned to a crisp. It happens.
The people who burned in this episode.
Very tough. Man, those tents, they catch fire quickly. They do. They catch fire quickly.
I feel like wax canvas would take a little longer to burn, but
okay.
maybe
you have some notes.
Maybe they're not waxing canvas in Westeros.
Interesting. Not like the wax truckers in Last of Us. It always comes back to Joel's jacket.
I guess so.
It always comes back to Joel's jacket.
I've been in like period appropriate tents, and usually those are like wax canvasy. You know
that was like a really sick flex that you dropped pretty subtly. I've been in period appropriate tents. Listen, I haven't, but I wish I had. Wish I could say such a thing.
We can make that part of your future.
Riverlands Town, Stony Sept, southwest of the God's Eye by the Blackwater Rush, as we continue to kind of just track the map. A lot of where are people in the general Riverlands vicinity action in this episode. Duncan Egg passed through Stony Sept at a certain point. Bobby B healed there during his rebellion. Fun little mention on the a Thrones thing front. Delightful. Listen, Oscar Tully, Roddy the Ruin. They don't agree on ideal weather, Joe. But they do agree that Criston Cole is a pest.
Here's what I think is interesting about sort of the Riverland, this army.
Yeah.
This Team Black army. They're like, they had very little time once Daemon left to leave us with characters who we would sort of recognize and understand who they are and where they are. Chris Ryan, not so much, but like most of us, hopefully. Yeah. But they're like, young boy, old man, and if you're feeling really sassy, Black Ally's here, a lady warrior. So there's sort of like, every time we cut back to the old man and the young boy, you know where you are. It is the Riverland army. How do you feel like, have they done enough about the around these characters to make you feel invested in this
I think
group?
we spent a good amount of time with Oscar Tully in season 2. Certainly. It was interesting to bring back Lord Peter Piper here to have Criston Cole slit his throat and then stab him so many times in
George
the
R.
ribcage.
Martin named him Peter Piper.
Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff.
Not spelled how you think.
Never is. He was one of the lords in this region who was really not vibing with Daemon in season 2. I don't know how many people watching this season 2 years later are going to be like, oh, Peter Piper's back, and now I mourn his loss. I don't know if that has, frankly, any impact on people.
I don't think you need to care about Peter Piper. Other
Roddy
than the fact
and Oscar are we're so in the bag for Roddy as book readers that it's hard to separate our pre-existing attachment to him. My hope would be that show watchers who weren't anticipating Roddy's arrival got a couple glimpses early and were like, this guy seems like he fucking rocks. And then as he is sitting there saying that Criston's past and during, comparing him to the fucking deer flies, right? And what a blow for Criston. He's trying to mount this legendary stand, and they're comparing him to pests that you swat away and try to zap. Very tough. But the fact that Roddy's sharpening his axe as he talks, just little stuff that helps to make him feel really cool. And
he does seem like he's a sick sort of archetype. I just don't know that he feels like a character.
We know literally nothing about him inside of the show yet, other than that he is a winter wolf who has come to die. Do it in the voice.
He's come to die for the Dragon Queen.
Yeah. And you know what?
That's all you need. It's
all we need. On the Oscar front, I'm I've been where's Bloody Ben?
Yeah.
I thought it was cool to see Oscar, who was very much like my grandfather, my grandsire.
And then 2 years later, the voices dropped a bit.
Exactly. And I was like, let's go. What if we tried some of Criston's tactics on him and is ready to attempt some guerrilla warfare on his own? Do I miss Bloody Ben? Sure. Do we need Kermit? I don't know. I'm like, Oscar, for me, at this point, can stand in for the lads. And I'm okay with it.
Standing for the lads. Fabian Frankel on an apple box.
This was incredible. The old Jon Snow.
Yeah.
You
In the
gotta
behind
stand.
the scenes, Fabian Frankel had to stand on an apple box in order to reach the actor who plays Peter Piper to slit his throat.
Yes. I do really respect that Fabian went out of his way to be like, I'm 5'11". I'm not like 5'2" when I needed to stand on this. He's like, this guy's really tall, but this was not very rock and roll. Very funny.
I don't
really
know that he's 5'11", but that's okay.
I see.
Do you think that good old Fabs has been listening to the Bandsplain episode that I did with Yasi on the Dirty Dancing
Probably.
soundtrack,
Yeah.
and that's why he was singing "Time of Your Life" on the BTS? On set?
It seems likely that
It would
he
involve time
traveled
travel.
through time.
Yeah, it would involve time
to listen
travel.
to that
Yeah.
episode and reference it and feel inspired by it, specifically when he recorded that behind the scenes somewhere between 8 to 10 months ago. I think that's in bounds. That's in play.
right.
Yeah. Speaking of time,
yeah,
it's caltrop o'clock.
TikTok.
Joe, riding towards Stony Sept, and
Mhm.
Gawain asks Criston before their army is decimated by the crow's feet on the ground. My friend, have you ever seen the High Tower in Old Town? And he shares the story of playing around the tower with Ormond, calls him a thin-skinned twat, which is hysterical, but also pays off immediately as we see Ormond quiver and have to work so hard to contain his rage when Daeron beats him.
Do you know what this reminded me of?
Tell me.
Have you ever seen it, Aragorn, the White Tower of the Thelian,
Yeah,
glimmering like a
totally.
spike of pearl and silver, its banners caught high in the morning
Yes.
breeze? Have you been called home by the clear ringing of silver trumpets?
There's a good amount of Lord of the Rings in this episode.
Yeah. The idea of like Run the Tower, this game that Gwayne and Ormond used to play, and like watching, you know, he was talking about watching the sunrise. I was just thinking about like from the High Tower.
Yep.
It's very sort of like British Empire, the sun never sets on the view from the High Tower sort of idea.
Absolutely,
Also,
yeah.
do you think that's where Ormond got his taste for like pure clean air? Is it just like at the top of the High Tower?
Smells great up
Can't
there.
smell anything. Just
Maybe.
smells crisp and cool.
Entirely possible. It's
Yeah.
always interesting, even when the person on the other end of a conversation like this is a royal, is the heir. Like, it reminded me a little bit of Jason Lannister talking to Rhaenyra back in season 1 in The Hunt about like, oh, the view from Casterly Rock, you know, the Reach, the Westerlands. Ooh, and it's like, it probably is way nicer out there, right?
Yeah.
But you're always like, the superiority. It's so
I don't
interesting
know.
because I was so
about to say-
touched by Gwayne's offer, which felt
come serve
so
us.
sweet, but then you get to the service. But they're like, have you ever seen the High Tower part? That's very nice, right? And then it's like,
I hope to show it to you one day.
I hope to show it to you. That's very sweet. And then he's like, you know, you can be in service to my house.
While you're polishing
Real
records.
record scratch. Real record scratch there. It is interesting that Gawain framed it around the idea of home, though. You know, you can make a home, given what Criston said last episode. There is no home for one like me. Not while Rhaenyra sits the throne. We'll come back to this offer and Criston's response to it later. But let's talk about the caltrops, Joe. Let's talk about what takes down the horses.
Mhm. They call them crow's feet, right?
Crow's feet.
Yeah. I know a thing or two about crow's feet. Yeah, caltrops.
Yes.
This is the sigil of House Footley.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an inn in Tumbleton called the Bloody Caltrops.
Sick branding.
And this will be of note later.
Uh-huh. Great stuff.
But it does feel like a little thing for the book readers.
I agree. So the Rivermen have gotten ahead. They're using the guerrilla tactics, and it's like so much Criston for being the scorpion on the ox, even a wraith in the shadow. You've still been bested. It must be exhausting to always feel like you're losing if you're Criston.
Sucks to suck, Criston Cole.
Boy, Gawain, frankly, like us, just wants a nice cup of tea and a warm bath.
Mhm.
We love Freddie Fox. We were so excited when he was cast in this role. I think he's been great the whole time and very limited screen time. This was my favorite Freddie Fox episode yet. Not only because the conversations between Gwayne and Criston were wonderful as they consistently have been, but Gawain's misery,
all of his
abject misery.
beleaguered faces that
The
he made.
sniffles,
Yeah.
the wrapping the little blankie towel around him was my favorite detail. So good.
When they get to the river crossing and the Rivermen have been there and burned the bridge and left a Team Black banner to be like, fuck you.
They flexed on them.
I really did. Freddie Fox's face as he comes up to the crest of the hill, like behind Criston Cole, and he's just like a sad face emoji with the sad, crusty remains of his like fun "Let's boys will be boys" like war paint that they painted on each other. Really
I know.
Funny.
Do you think that is what Carlos and Scott and Jacob, what they look like every time one of us slacks them when we're like, what if we push 15 more minutes?
No, it's when we hit the like 3-hour mark, you know. At least they can go to the bathroom.
That's true. Must be nice.
Here's what our listener Uday said about sort of this Boggs log, right? What makes George R. R. Martin's, quote, broken man archetype so effective is his experience coming of age in the aftermath of the Vietnam War. George is a very active in the anti-war movement. I think about Arya going through a burnt and scarred Riverlands and the napalm-esque wildfire on the Blackwater. This theme is all over A Feast for Crows and The Sworn Sword, a realm picking up the pieces after war and broken men returning home.
I love this. One of my favorite little bits of connective tissue in this episode to that idea is the choice to name Wendish Town, the village by Wendish Town, because that's
just outside of Wendish Town.
Just outside of Wendish Town. That when Ned is sitting on the throne hearing petitions and learns that the mountain has ravaged this village and then sends, I attained him, and sends Beric out, it's Wendish Town. So this place that we associate with not only a level of like ferocity and violence that there's something undeniable about the fact that the violence of war can never be contained, right? Which is, to the point of the email, one of George's areas of examination and missions. But then the way that our central characters respond to that, we're in this general part of the map, right? So it just makes sense as a choice, but it also felt like a little bit of a
Gregor, Vagar, ravaging the Riverlands. What's the difference?
I mean, what a question. It's a great question. Oh boy. I liked too on the connective tissue and like parallels across different aspects of the episode and character sets, the way that Gwayne, when they're working through the brush and the thorns, right? And we've got to try to cut through. We're off the road. They knew and Kristin's like, they knew we would be. This is what we'd have to deal with. And Gwayne is speaking about like, this is another sign, right? A sign that we have made the wrong choice. So which characters are talking about or seeing some sort of omen, and then which characters are taking a more practical,
is it a sign or is it a portent? What would you say?
Or is it a portent or a sign?
Ah, intriguing. Something to think about.
Kristin's unwilling to give up, Joe.
Yeah.
That remains true as he ends up kneeling in the dragon paw print. This was it's always fun when you see a certain shot in every single teaser, trailer, piece of marketing. And then you're like, there it is.
Dragon paw.
Dragon
there you
paw
go,
print.
once again. Sweet, cute, cuddly Vagar. Let's see those toe beans, Vagar.
Let's see those toe beans. Vagar. Oh my God. Great stuff. Some see a hoary old bitch, and some say, would you like a churro?
Vagar thinks people are churros. You know what
that's
I mean?
True. Yeah. Even I have never, I think, tried to say that about Vagar. Even I have limits. That might be the only one. Great shot of Criston there. You know, this thing that sparked this existential crisis for him. What place does a man have in a dragon war, and sent him down this nihilistic journey? The leeches affixing to their persons. Gwayne pulling one off the thigh. Great stuff.
Can I follow up on that comment you made? Because we got a really interesting email, I thought, from our listener Finn, who says, this is sort of jumping the gun on the speech we're about to talk about, but Finn said, early in the season, my friend felt worried that Criston Cole's PTSD arc was making him feel like sympathy for a crappy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I responded saying that I believed his nihilism is merely a devastation that dragons make him not the main character.
Yeah.
And it comes from an elevated opinion of self and ego. This week's insanely well-written, dripping in hypocrisy speech about being the greatest fighter in the realm confirms this to me.
Yeah.
Thus, I petitioned the removal of PTSD from Criston in exchange for self-interested, egotistical nihilism. You know what? That sits pretty well with me. I might be back on my Criston Cole hater train, honestly.
I'm excited to get the where are we on Criston in terms of our sympathy for him or ability to like feel for him front after what we see in this episode. Because it's a complicated.
Gwayne cries for him. One single high tower tear
through the fucking filth. Matted on his face. Is he crying for Criston or is he crying for all the inns that he didn't get to stay in along the
all
road?
All the feather beds and baths that he's missed.
Oh, man. Under that little blankie that Gwayne is huddled under, filthy, trying to get warm as he sniffles. Again, couldn't be us. Tries to convince Criston the time has come at last. It's over. Lay down your sword.
It's over, Anakin.
Put up your sword, as they would say in Rings of Power.
Mm-hmm.
Put up your sword. Is Galadriel here?
So soon. Galadriel will be here at Comic-Con.
There are 200 Rivermen for every one of them. That's the math that Gwayne updates us on. The odds, Joanna, don't phase Criston because his plan, as Gwayne knows, because Criston said it pretty clearly in the season 2 finale, is to die would be kind of a relief. Don't you think? Gwayne is aghast at this, right? He says, I offered you sanctuary.
I said you could shine my boots at the high tower.
You'd get to do everything I asked you.
You could fluff my feather bed. You could draw my baths for me.
But you'd have a great view and a beautiful, robust, thriving metropolis that you would rarely have time to enjoy.
It would smell very nice.
To enjoy. You have offered me service to your house, Criston said. This was one of my favorite pieces of performance from Fabian here, the way he said that you have offered me service to your house. I am grateful, but I have been a servant all my life. He says he's through defining himself by his oaths. Let's hear this, Carlos.
I am the realm's greatest warrior, and I will die as such. Clear-eyed, unbent, glorious in battle, and not in their service. Finally, but in my own. And they will sing songs of it. And Queen Alicent herself will hear them.
Joanna, where are you on our guy, Chrissy Cole, after this decision and this declaration?
If it were just his own life that he was taking into his hands, I could be like, okay, you were a shitty dude who did some shitty things and you decide to die now. Okay. But he's leading all of his men into certain death without, I think, their full consent. And that I cannot back.
Yeah.
So I'm out.
Back out.
On the Kingmaker.
Back out on the Kingmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good. I'm in a place I enjoy being with this character, which is like feeling a little bit of a pull that I still can't believe the show has made me feel. Mm-hmm. Really, to its credit. When Criston is saying, you've offered me service to your house, and saying, I've defined myself by these oaths, I'm going to shed them. There's something about it still, despite what you said and what I'll agree with you and say next, where I feel like a little tug. There's something heartbreaking about it. There's something about the character on an arc aspect of Criston being able to like identify that at all that intrigues me. No more service. Shedding himself of the need to define himself by the service to others in those oaths. But, right? And the but part of this, I think, carries the bulk of the weight at the end.
It's interesting, the Dornish theme, because he says unbent.
Yep.
So he's invoking his Dornish heritage. We got a really great email about this, which I will read sort of when we get to the Dornish section of the Ormund and Daeron stuff. But like this idea of Criston Cole as this like, he gets accused of being this up-jumped sort of like climber kind of guy. Sure. But we believe in upper mobility. Like we believe that a guy from House Cole should be able to climb up the ranks and do all these things. But the thing about Criston Cole, which has always bothered me, is he just like closes the door behind him. And he's like, a woman shouldn't rule.
Yeah.
These kids are bastards. All, so he's not like equality for all.
No.
He's like advancement for me, or like I feel injured by the hand that I was dealt in life, but I refuse to redeal the hand of anyone else.
Yeah, and that's the thing ultimately. Like, I think that he is... It is possible for Criston and for all people to, and frankly, so much of this episode is about which characters are able to like look at their own decisions and then take some accountability for it. There's a version of this where Criston has made some sort of sincere progress and gone through some sort of sincere reckoning with his past, but it doesn't feel like I do think Criston, advancement, great, is a striver and always has been, and that advancement, those oaths he made, the oaths that he defined himself by, were ones that he sought. It's very much to me, Alicent, Rhaenyra, yes, but you alone made virtue your banner coded from their conversation at the end of season 2. It's like Criston did that too. He alone made virtue his banner. The fact that his entire speech to the troops at the end is about the seven is pulling us right back into that undeniable aspect.
Well, and
also,
I think
he's still doing it for... He is still doing it for Alicent. He says it. So there's
not just Alicent, but his own glory.
And
they
his
will
own
sing
glory.
songs about it.
And that is the ultimate, like, I agree with what you said about if it were just him versus, but, and I think there are obviously inside of a war story, there's a noble sacrifice even in a hopeless circumstance. That is not what this is. It is Criston pursuing his own legacy and his own glory at all costs.
If he had listened to Gwayne and they went that away.
Yeah.
Rather than burn, and fuck with the troops, go
Meet
that
up with
away
Ormond.
and get to Tumbleton.
Try to keep the fight
save
going.
His houses.
He doesn't have any interest.
It's interesting. Also, who cloaks themselves in the light of the seven, inside of this episode when Rhaenyra is here in the Sept sort of play acting for appearances, and you've got, who are the people? It's like Ormond, who we've already called out for his hypocrisy in terms of invoking the seven and the faith and all of that. Criston Cole and his, naming of the seven in his speech.
Even Alicent, like the choice to use a necklace.
Literally about to say that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Alicent just trading the necklace away. I mean, like, I understand what she's doing, but these fucking high towers, these Team Greenies, and their bullshit faith.
I like to think that Alicent's internal monologue there is, well, where did that cloak of righteousness get me? Maybe now it can get me somewhere.
Maybe now I can get me 2 maid outfits.
As Criston is making his big speech at the end, Gwayne right in the middle is like, peace out, man. Could have left at the beginning, could have left after, but leaves right in the middle. Extra brutal. And he is Tumbleton bound. So we will go to Tumbleton too to check in on our pals. Ormond.
Your bestie Ormond.
Daeron. He's certainly one of the characters, though, I am having the most fun watching, even though he is a complete piece of garbage, morally reprehensible. So Ormond's long reach is something we really get to understand in this episode. We'll talk about the Rhaenyra and Daemon reception to this clarity later when we get to them. But in Tumbleton, we see this scroll sent out, return to Ormond, right? So he is in communication with the Hightower soldier who we met in the second episode of the season when Alicent and Helaena went up to the battlements to convince Sir Frederick.
A really good catch of yours, I thought. On Talk the Thrones.
Can I be really honest with you?
Heterochromia?
Yes, but in episode 2, I was like, that guy's handsome. So I really was like, really looking at his
face. The hottie with heterochromia is back, guys.
I really was drawn to him, so I immediately recognized him because I'm like, whoa, hot Hightower soldier is back. What a thrill. Delighted.
So does this solve the mystery we were pondering last week of like why there are no scrolls from Ormond in the records, in Orwell's records? Is it that all of this information, he was always sending it via sneaky little back channels just to like leave no record behind, and then like whoever his men on the ground were then reporting to Otto, to Otto Hightower, whoever else had information. Yeah. We got an email from our listener Beth because it wasn't sent by Raven, it was sent by Pigeon, which we've never seen a pigeon used as a carrier for a scroll, I think, in a throne show. And Beth said, perhaps the use of pigeons is a great way to more subtly send messages from a domestic dwelling, especially from what we discover later are Ormond Hightower's assassins. Folks seeing a raven fly out a flea bottom window would certainly raise the alarm that something dastardly was afoot. So we're using Mallory's favorite wild bird, a pigeon.
Nature.
Do you think that this explains, like, is this why there's no paper trail from Ormond at the Red Keep?
It's an interesting
theory.
theory.
He was always using the pigeon route.
Not a corporate email guy?
Just like always, games within games within games.
Yeah. I mean, it feels entirely plausible. Makes him feel more in control. Why would he want any Orwell or anyone seeing his messages who he doesn't have relation? He's so much of a character who's rooted in the idea of control, right? So it feels
canny strategy.
Canny have some canny strategy afoot. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I like that. And the idea that then like the structure that Ormond was availing himself of in some capacity because those Hightower soldiers were there, right? They had to be there in order for Alicent to go to them and say, "Lay down your arms, let Rhaenyra in." And now they are still there. This is an interesting thing to think about in terms of like how prepared was Team Black to take over, but also how much risk is Alicent, all of it, right? They come in, Rhaenyra rightly suggests, let's interview the staff, see who might be loyal to the Hightowers. But was there and let's make sure all the Hightower soldiers who put down their swords are definitely gone?
Right.
Like how many people who are still loyal to Team Green, to Ormond, are just there and hiding, like lying in wait? That's a terrifying prospect for the Rhaenyra enthusiasts in the room. Of which we are. This is very worrying, right?
Too.
And then, we care about Alicent. And so it's concerning to me
he knows too much.
This guy, hot guy knows too much. Hot Hightower guy knows. He knows that she went up there and did this thing and said, let Rhaenyra in. He's in touch with Ormond.
Too hot to die, but he knows too much.
Let's keep him alive.
Okay.
Let's keep him alive, please. I would love that. And then, Rhaenyra talking, when she found out about Tumbleton in the 3rd episode, my arm is long, he cannot win. And we see here, like, Ormond's got the long arm. He is inside of King's Landing in a way that our characters who are seeking to rule are only beginning to see and understand.
We're going to talk about Dorne in a second, but I was thinking about, if we're thinking about Dorne and the way in which it might inspire via time travel,
right.
Ormond Hightower.
Yes. Yeah. He would benefit from learning some things about Dorne's future, I think.
Well, yes, but Prince Doran's like very famous speech.
Yeah. Yep.
From A Feast for Crows, I believe.
Prince Doran, big Savas guy.
Oberyn was ever the viper. Deadly, dangerous, unpredictable. No man dared tread on him. I was the grass, pleasant, complacent, sweet-smelling, swaying with every breeze. Who fears to walk upon the grass? But it is the grass that hides the viper from his enemies and shelters him until he strikes. So thinking about Ormond as like the viper in the grass, that like inside of Tumbleton, there is this viper waiting to strike, and he has shielded himself in you can't see him. He is hidden. But his arm is long.
Listen, I think you got us with the sweet smelling part of that. Undeniable. Remember
how cool Doran is in the book? Something to think about.
Yeah, it's one of the all-time. Oh, what could have been? So much of the Doran stuff falls into that, though.
We got this great email from our listener, Pat. Speaking of book stuff, there's like a lot of great books, A Song of Ice and Fire book stuff this week. Pat wrote in to say, Ormond Hightower, clutching his pearls over the impropriety of, quote, them putting a woman on the throne, gasp, is happy to lean in on declaring the youngest son in dynastic succession as king because Daeron is a Targaryen Ormond has on hand and is amenable to Ormond's influence. This tracks with youngest brother Renly Baratheon, nearly 2 centuries later being supported by a different Reach house to be king because House Tyrell feels they can gain from putting their longtime family friend Renly on the throne rather than the downside of supporting crabby Stannis, who remembers how Mace Tyrell stole his lunch money at Storm's End.
It's great stuff.
The Reach is very much top of mind inside of this episode. But yeah, just sort of like any king will do, or the rules don't
as good as any other.
The rules apply only when I need them to apply.
Yeah.
Right? How dare they put a woman on the throne, but I'll put the youngest son on the throne.
Yeah.
Because he's handy.
And he's more Hightower cosplay than the rest of them, so isn't that an extra added bonus? I love the Tyrell mention here because one of the fun, we're going to get to the history lessons here, and a little insight. Ormond's got some feedback on Daeron's syllabus, right, and what the tutors are sharing and leaving out. But before he gets to Merria Martell, the Yellow Toad of Dorne, listing some of the houses that Daeron is studying and has been learning about. House Gardner is mentioned, which, like, it's a fun thing to be reminded, not that we need to be reminded of how myopic and mad Ormond is and how his idea of Hightower superiority is the driving force for him, but also completely out of whack with reality. Like, he's so focused on the obscenity, as he says in this episode, of the Targaryen dragons. It's the one thing that allowed them to best the Hightowers. Like, the Gardners ruled the Reach before the conquest, and then when House Gardner was decimated, the Tyrells became wardens, not the Hightowers. So it's interesting to me. And do the Hightowers remain one of the richest and most powerful houses? Yes, that's still true, even though they're not in control, right? But it's interesting that Ormond is not at all engaging with that aspect of his house's history. Just we were kings once, we were the superior men, and the rule should be ours. It's particularly interesting to think about when we get to some of the House Martell comps and what the Yellow Toad of Dorne, what Merria actually achieved and was trying to achieve, which is
resistance, not conquest.
Exactly. The comp of how, oh my God, I'm inspired by being able to thwart the Targaryen strength and fend off their conquest. We understand the inspiration he's taking there, but Ormond's not mounting a resistance. That's not what he's doing. He's not an Andor. He just wants to be in control. Yeah. So it's great. The history lesson. Ormond finding it just absolutely shocking that this 16-year-old kid is like, I'm a little bit bored reading these dry histories was so good. So funny. More of the Tywin vibes here as well with
Bran. I was thinking about Bran.
No question. Were you thinking about Bran with Aemond and the Vhagar eye flash? A little bit of the Bran summer. When aren't we thinking about Bran?
A lot. Often.
Tough.
Season 1 Bran.
Ormond jumps in to educate young Daeron on Merria. This was thrilling, Joe.
Merria Martell, Yellow Toad of Dorne.
Ormond is like, there's like,
I don't hate all women.
Yeah, there's only one woman who was gifted with a truly military mind and who I can respect. And I can only respect the one woman who fended off the Targaryens for a minute, but I would like to tell you how ugly she was.
Roll go.
Incredible stuff from Ormond, dear. He could not suck more.
Yeah, this guy sucks.
Bald and blind and oh man, great stuff. But glint in his eye, she refused to submit. Here's a passage from Fire and Blood. I will not fight you, Princess Merria told Rhaenys. Nor will I kneel to you. Dorne has no king. Tell your brother that. I shall, Rhaenys replied, but we will come again, princess, and the next time we shall come with fire and blood. Your words, said Princess Merria. Ours are unbowed, unbent, unbroken. You may burn us, my lady, but you will not bend us, break us, or make us bow. This is Dorne. You are not wanted here. Return at your peril.
I have some notes. I have some copywriting notes for Merria.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little redundant to say ours are unbowed, unbent, unbroken. You will not bend us, break us, or make us bow. I'm like, yeah, that's why your words are unbowed, unbent, unbroken. You already said that. So you put it on the flag. Like, I get it, you know?
Incredible. Yeah, but this is like, you're one of the most efficient bloggers, ruthlessly efficient bloggers in the history of digital journalism. You would have like 7 Thrones posts up on one Sunday night. Merria Martell could simply never. Not like this.
No.
Great stuff. Oh, man. Should we hear this clip and then discuss this more?
I would love it.
Carlos!
Merria poisoned her own wells, hid her soldiers in the very sand of the desert. Her castle, when they found it, was empty. They thought that she was vanquished, but she rose up out of the darkness and slaughtered them in their beds.
Is she a hero then? Or a villain?
He really put some sauce on slaughtered.
Oh, James Norton's like, in his script, he underlined it. Slaughtered them in their beds. I mean, I gotta say, if Daeron is feeling bored with his history lesson, Ormond made it fun and exciting.
I quite agree.
Slaughtered them in their bed.
Poisoned wells.
This
Great
lady
stuff.
was ugly.
So what do you make of this? The morality question. Is she a hero then or a villain? The fact that Daeron is asking it, the way that Ormond sees it. Wonderful scene. Very rich.
I mean, I think this is, Daeron ever cautious to not trigger his uncle, but he's just sort of like, okay, you've painted me a picture of someone who you admire, but I don't know, they're doing things that I'm not sure I would ever want to do.
Yeah.
Does that sound very heroic to you? And you brought this up on Talk of Thrones that like for a lot of the realm, Mysaria Martell was not considered a hero. I think they're just bitter that she outfoxed them and she remained, say it with me, unbowed, unbent, unbroken.
They will not bow.
They will not break and they will not bend. Just in case you didn't get it the first time.
Yeah, I think that you're definitely right. Oh my God, you were able to withstand the assault that we could not was fueling the realm's read and reception. I still like from Daeron the kind of like morality check on, is this the way that, is there honor in this? Like, it's just a good way to continue to show us the difference between how Ormond and Daeron see the world. It's interesting too, even like we won't spoil the Odyssey for people who haven't had the fucking pleasure of seeing it yet, but
spoil the Odyssey.
We were I know, spoil the 3,000-year-old story. But it's funny because that's like we were talking about the Game of Thrones influence on that version, on Nolan's version of the Odyssey. And so now we're kind of back here where that's on our mind 1 week after seeing that, watching this. The idea of like guest rights and the violation, that's such a central thing in how we think about Thrones stories. It's not guest rights when you're invading Dorne, but if you're Daeron, if you've grown up thinking about how do you behave, what is the law of tactic, what is the norm of how you engage, it's just sort of interesting. For Ormond, it's clear, right? He's like, they're heroes because the Targaryens, the thing I have to give them, the point I must concede is that they have strength. And Mysaria Martell was able to challenge that strength and take, not Mysaria directly, but the Dornish War, which spanned years and was very costly. That cost included, as you noted on Sunday night, a dragon and a sister wife, right? Meraxes and Rhaenys. The hot one. I mean, I'm Team Visenya, as you know. Hot in a different way. But
all these women are hot.
They're all great.
Mysaria Martell is hot. You know what's hot? Not bowing, not bending, not breaking.
I agree. Mysaria could fuck for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely.
No question. So he's like, yeah. 10 AC.
I just always think it's funny that Aegon's like, I have two sisters. They're both my wives.
I prefer one.
Is much hotter than the other.
I prefer one. We know this is Ormond's MO, right? Like the subterfuge, the theater, and then the truth in the shadows. Of course, this is a heroine of his, to channel my inner Tywin at Harrenhal studying history of his own. The legacy in the realm, the toad hops into her hole when threatened, wrote one scribe, to quote Fire and Blood. Another said, Mysaria fought like a woman with lies and treachery and witchery. The Dornish victory, if victory it was seen to be dishonorable. And the survivors of the fight, the sons and brothers of those who had fallen, promised one another that a day would come, and with it, a reckoning. Ormond doesn't give a shit if anybody thinks he behaves honorably, except he knows when to think about that and when it matters as somebody there listening and watching. Fascinating how he's navigating when to care about the PR and when the achievement would be worth the potential cost.
Well, this is why I want to read this email from our listener, Amanda, about the use of Dorne in this episode for both Criston and for Ormond, and the way in which they're picking and choosing what aspects of the Dornish story bolsters their own self-narrative, right?
Yes.
So she says, we have multiple instances of characters picking and choosing the words and sections of House Martell to further their own agenda.
Right.
Dorne doesn't simply dislike the Targaryens, they fight against forceful takeover. They join the Targaryens on their own terms through diplomacy.
Yes.
Even after the Targaryens are driven from Westeros, House Martell continues to seek an alliance with them. Doran first plots to wed Arya and Viserys, and after his death sends Quentyn across the narrow sea in hopes of forging an alliance with Daenerys. Criston Cole suddenly finding his Dornish pride is hypocritical. He has been bent, bowed, and broken. He abused and shamed bastard children for being bastards. He fought against a woman's right to rule simply because she is a woman. It is understandable that for once he wants to live on his own terms, to die by his own decisions, but him trying to frame it through his Dornish heritage further amplifies how much hypocrisy he embodies.
Mm-hmm.
He reaches back towards his heritage only when it can justify the choice he already wishes to make. But what he grasps is not Dorne itself. It is a distorted memory of it, one filtered through decades of serving the very system Dorne resisted, one that still only works to justify his actions. He cannot even remember full House Martell words. He remembers only the fragments convenient to him. That is perhaps the greatest indication of how far he has drifted. A man born of Dorne now interprets Dorne through a Westerosi lens. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this idea of like, I like, it's the title of the episode, but these characters across the continent invoking legacy in a way that they don't fully that they've edited in a way that's convenient to them. I think that's a really fascinating
to suit the need of the moment, for sure.
And it reminds me of like every time Viserys gets brought up, and it's like, what would your father have done? And it's just like
question.
Immediately we are misremembering who King Viserys was.
I think this episode, with everything with Dorne and Mysaria, the use of Maegor's tunnels in the Red Keep, the fact that Daemon in his big speech to the Gold Cloaks yet again invokes Valyria, and he's doing it in a triumphant way, and we can just hear Viserys' voice in our ears like, if we don't remember our histories, they're going to do the same to us. Daemon brings up Dorne too, right? So you have Ormond saying, Dorne in this one case, I think I'm better than everyone. Ormond, think I'm better than everyone. But Dorne here, this one moment in time in history, I can see an aspect of resistance that I admire. Daemon listing Dorne again on the conquest to-do list, right? One more frontier to conquer. It just tells us so much about where we are. And yeah, it's fun, like, because we're in the Night of the Seven Kingdoms era, to remember, as we talked about a lot covering the first season of that show, that Daeron the Good, that's when Dorne was fully brought into the fold through, like the email noted, diplomacy, through marriage.
Yeah.
Right? And so
that Dorne email was much longer, but just the idea that, like, by the time of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, like, the Martells are married, like, and Daenerys is more Dornish than not, honestly. By the time we get all the way down there.
Our beloved Baelor Breakspear, does he have silver targ hair?
No.
Golden dragons and stone dragons.
Ilya Martell. He raped her. He murdered. Killed her babies. All right.
This conversation, Joe, this lesson, transpires at the Footly Savas table. This was a real fun thing to see on the screen at last. Cool to see how they designed it and built it. I was like, where are the screens in the middle? And then to see that they were there and have been removed, of course, the attention to craft and detail is really just top tier.
I love that in the BTS they were talking about, like, what a prop nerd Ryan Condal is, which, like, we did a great episode with him talking about, like, the greatest props in film history. That's a really fun episode of House of R. But Ryan, that's a video pod. Like, you can see Ryan's collection behind him that video, and it's just, like, insane what he has collected over time.
Really amazing. Real goal stuff.
Tremendous hobby. But when they're like, Ryan's a prop nerd, I was like, that's a wild understatement. But yeah, the building of the Savas board is just, like, incredible.
And it's a very symbolically rich setting for this conversation, right? A cunning mind can resist the most savage of beasts, is what Ormond says to Daeron. And what does Daeron do as Ormond says this?
Beats him with the dragon.
Beats him
with the dragon.
A dragon!
Savas in the books is a way that a thing that Tyrion uses to, like, sort of understand the mind of his opponents, right? And so it's just he would know everything he needs to know about Ormond watching this tantrum. But speaking of fake Aegon, like, fake Aegon throws a tantrum over a Savas board. So this is just like
the Dorne Association, Quentin on the Dorne front, really, 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 really fun. And, like, the mix of chess and other strategy games that inspired George, and the question of whether they'll actually release this as, like, a real game that people can play, but that would require actually, like, locking in all the rules.
What are the rules? You would need George's participation.
I was like, maybe we're getting closer.
I love in the BTS when they were talking about, and they're like, and it has a screen in between. I was like Battleship. And they're like, and so we called it Battleship. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Great
Stratego, Risk, all of that. I love Battleship. I don't love Risk. I get bored playing Risk, personally. It doesn't engage my mind the way that it does some people. Some people can play Risk for hours, and it simply could not be me.
Yeah. I was never a big Risk kid either, but maybe I didn't have enough experience with it to fall in love. It's possible. Daeron, Joe, a character who sees the board. Ormond, as you noted, missing the dragon, the indignity of losing to the dragon, his response, which Daeron recognizes right away. Oh my God. Oh, we could start over. Right.
I got lucky.
He knows just the rage that
Mhm.
Ormond is about to unleash. The fact that Ormond thinks as he is sharing this wisdom with his pupil that he's the cunning mind, the dragon is the savage beast, but in fact, Daeron, the dragon, is the cunning mind who bests Ormond, the actual savage beast in this instance, is so delicious and wonderful. And as we talked about on Sunday, the shot of them both, Daeron to move it to reset the board and Ormond to reaching for it and their hands meeting on the stone dragon piece, that visual manifestation of seeking to control dragon power and dragon might and dragon advancement. Not the subtlest thing the show has ever done, but I quite liked it.
Well, there's this stuff in the book about in the Savas game. It's sort of like when do you play the dragon? Like when do you deploy the dragon, right? And Daeron does it perfectly, and Ormond doesn't understand how and when to do it. And Rhaenyra certainly right now is like, when do I play my dragon on Tumbleton? I don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, there is something about Daeron as like a prodigy here that is also fun and interesting to think about. Never apologize for victory, Ormond tells Daeron as he has taken a deep breath to try to control himself and walked to stand behind Daeron with his hands on his shoulders in a super cool, chill, really reassuring way.
Supportive. Nurturing.
And then he's like, I'm going to smooth this over by showing you the coin that I had minted to announce you as king. Declaration of intent.
What's fun is when you rewatch that scene, you can hear him sort of like jangling the coins around earlier when he's talking. Like he's building up to this like thing he's really excited to show Daeron. Yeah. He got sidetracked by
getting embarrassed.
Being a thin-skinned twat.
That's so tough. One side has no money. Go into the Vale to beg for coin. And Ormond, on the other hand, has so much that he could just print up new gold pieces.
This great branding, this declaration of intent.
Oh man!
So this is you mentioned House Gardner before. This is like an interesting gambit inside of A Feast for Crows that we presume Varys plants a Gardner coin to throw suspicion on the Tyrells because Olenna Tyrell loves to pay for things with a Gardner coin because they're thinner, and so she's like cheating people out of their full price. But Varys, to throw suspicion off himself in helping Tyrion escape, plants a Gardner coin. This is a quote from A Feast for Crows. Gold, yes, but the moment Cersei took it, she could tell that it was wrong. Too small, she thought, too thin. The coin was old and worn. On one side was a king's face and profile, on the other side the imprint of a hand. This is no dragon, she said. No, Qyburn agreed. It dates before the conquest, your grace. The king is Garth the 12th, and the hand is the sigil of House Gardner. So this idea of a coin, a specific coin, that could be used to cast suspicion on certain characters. And so now that there are King Daeron coins inside of King's Landing, where could those coins be planted that Rhaenyra could find them and say, oh,
you're loyal to my enemy.
Ormond's paying you.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
You know the kind of character who would probably ask that question? What can I do with this coin?
Mysaria.
I think you might be onto something here. Yeah. Great shout. Aemond and Alys. Let's head to Harrenhal.
Which stuff go?
Dude, what? I'm paraphrasing off the top of my head, but one of the best. We love the comments on the pod. We love when you are not only consuming the pod, but talking to each other about it. One of the best ones in a while was like on Talk to Thrones from Sunday night. And it's like, was anyone else, again, I'm paraphrasing, just keeping a running list of all the things in here for Joanna? And it was like, cats, which stuff go? It's great. And it had like all of the heart emojis
for me.
It's great. Oh, man. Joanna, stop me if you've heard this before.
Yeah.
It's raining at Harrenhal.
It's
raining, excuse me. It is raining in Harrenhal. And there's a goat.
Come on, she's the goat.
She's definitely skin changing into the goat and using it as her security camera to see when someone's ringing the doorbell. That's what's happening.
She's always exactly where they show up.
Immediately. Now, when they're scaling the cliff face to enter via Godswood, which, like, I don't know, maybe they need some fencing at Harrenhal. That seems like a security risk if that's possible. I guess it's maybe she just would have like heard them and known and had time to walk down, but she's always there right away. She is using her animal king. One of the things she says in this episode is my fortress. And indeed it is.
Well, okay.
Indeed it is.
I have a theory.
Tell me.
I don't think it's true, but
okay.
So when she's describing Harrenhal,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And she says, this castle breathes. She swallows the greedy, the heedless. Her founding stones were watered with the blood of men, and she's always thirsty.
Iconic, frankly.
Early in episode 2, when she was talking to Daemon about wanting ownership of Harrenhal,
Yep.
she says, for all they're worth, they will never satisfy my hunger.
Uh-huh.
So this idea of the castle is a she who thirsts, and Alys is this woman who hungers. And when Alys says she was recently grieved because Daemon's like, we're not giving you a castle. Are you fucking kidding me? But just sort of like this grieved, hungry woman and this sort of grieved, thirsty castle. And just, I'm not saying she is the castle, but like, what if she's the castle?
Yeah. A physical manifestation of the castle. Or maybe this human hot witch form is just another, barn owl and goat. I use the skin when I need it.
Yeah.
But I am Harrenhal itself.
Madam Mim, like whatever she needs to be. Absolutely.
Great stuff. I love it. On the one who has been grieved front, also just incredible. Like, I can be the mommy that you need. What's a mother? The one who has been grieved. I have been grieved.
I've been grieved recently.
Great
Call
stuff.
me mother.
Great stuff. They're looking for Aemond, these hunters who first enter here, as are the others later, because let's just remember, Rhaenyra put a bounty out and is offering up Harrenhal as a prize for anyone who finds Aemond one eye.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
And Alys is like, cool.
Ungrateful queen, she calls Rhaenyra here.
Yeah.
And then later says, I'm of a mind to send a message to the queen myself. Great work, Daemon. Great work, Rhaenyra. I'm sure this will be fine.
But what does Alys want if killing Aemond would get her Harrenhal? And she's not killing him. She's got some other long con plan here.
Mm-hmm.
What does she want?
Well, if she kills him, someone else just comes, right?
But if she kills him by Rhaenyra's edict, she gets Harrenhal, which is what she wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is the question like, how does she keep it?
Yeah.
Or
because you can't.
There are always men who will come and try to take Harrenhal?
I think there's that. And how to secure a stronger control. I think one of the answers could be it's just a hole in the logic of the story at this point.
No,
that's
I'm not,
possible. But
I actually think she could want something else. I'm not saying, ooh, gotcha, House of Dragon. I'm just sort of like, oh, what does she want? If her stated want, Harrenhal, could be solved
in theory, achieved
while Aemond is sleeping on the werewood bed.
I think part of it feels to me like Alys is a character who, first of all, is pissed, right? So she's like, Daemon hand-waved my request, didn't take me seriously. I'm not working with them anymore. I think maybe it's just in the mix a little. But also, I think there's a larger question that the Rhaenyra Sabbath of Frey exchange really brings to the fore of, well, what good is Rhaenyra's pledge at all? So Rhaenyra saying you kill Aemond, you get the castle means literally nothing to Alys or probably to anyone else because Harrenhal was fucking pledged to the phrase by Jace, and Rhaenyra's response to that now is, my son's dead, which is like not how this works.
I'm not sure Alys knows all of that.
I feel like Alys knows everything.
That's, you know what?
I feel like Alys knows everything.
You're right. Also, to go back to the Odyssey.
Yeah, please.
In an age of apparent magic, which is in the opening scroll of the Odyssey, do I believe that Alys Rivers is like concocting weirwood paste dreams and changing into a goat and all these other things? Yes. But what I also like is there's like plausible deniability that maybe she just threw the rocks where she knew the bats were sleeping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. Yes.
Like,
yes.
Did she summon bats with her witchly power, or does she know just how to throw a rock inside of this old castle and then the bats will come forth? You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just asking questions.
Great timing from the bats. Great timing from the thunderclap. When she's like, ooh, and the ghost. And it's like,
you got lucky with that thunder.
That one guy, the one hunter who looked a little bit like Cousin Greg was like, great stuff. Really, really very entertaining and wonderful.
I'll have to rewatch for that.
Quite enjoyed that. Quite enjoyed that. Aemond has some dream therapy to work through still. We cut to him dreaming of Aegon. We hear the Rook's Rest screams of Aemond burning Aegon. We hear the brothel laugh when Aegon and his mates, the sycophants, who Larys will mention elsewhere, discover Aemond curled up, fetal position with mommy dearest, Sylvie.
This is other great work for you on Talk the Thrones when you're like, I have forensically analyzed all of these Aegon sounds, and I know what scenes they come from.
I thought it looked really, really, really cool. The sapphire eye
Sapphire looks great,
It's
like
really
in all of these.
Man, when
Yeah.
the like REM sleep, other eye moving, and then the sapphire opens is
mhm.
really very specific and cool. When he wakes and he's terrified and he grabs the dagger, Aemond says of Aegon, his face was on fire. I saw him. He was clutching at me, dragging me down into the dark. So Aemond is having a parallel experience to Daemon's season 2 experience. We got to see those dreams for Daemon.
Yes.
And so we know how this works.
How
Real memories and real trauma, but with a Harrenhal twist. Things happen in those dreams that didn't actually happen to you.
How soon will he be fucking his mom in his dreams? Or in reality?
He already has. He has fucked Alicent in those dreams.
Okay,
There's
cool.
absolutely no question. Though actually, maybe he'd be in a better mood if he woke up and that had already happened, because that's clearly what he wants.
I have a very important Wig Watch update.
Please share it with us.
Our listener, Kat, couldn't help but notice that in tonight's episode, when waking from his nightmare at Harrenhal, Aemond's hair had a distinctive wave to it, the same wave pattern we see in Viserys, Daemon, Aegon, Helaena, Alicent, and Daeron. So is this Aemond's natural hair restored to gentle waves by the rain in the Riverlands?
Right, yeah.
Has he been flat ironing
Yeah.
it in every other scene? Or is his hair straight and these waves are from Alice wet setting with overnight braids? These are important questions. Kat's email was titled, has Aemond been flat ironing his hair this whole time?
I love it.
It's a great question worth asking, I think.
It strikes me as entirely possible.
But I think also maybe the damp air of the Riverlands could
Yeah.
sort of frizz it up and
Yes.
bring it
Like
out.
A day at the beach,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the human
Human.
mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
Great stuff. What will the twists be that Aemond sees? How many dreams will we get? The question of will we see any of them is on my mind. Will we get the clarity of, okay, throne room scene with Daemon and Viserys, but with the added, I'm locked in, I can't get out. I'm in here talking to Rhaenyra, but then I chopped her head off. Oh, Viserys, I see you weeping over your dead wife and kid. I feel a little bit bad about how I responded to that in real time. Or will we not actually see any of this? Here's what Condell said on Inside the Episode. The idea was to give Aemond a parallel experience to Daemon, if not exactly the same. It's a much more grounded Harrenhal story that still pays homage and service to the history of the castle and to the story we told in season 2. AKA,
because people didn't like
it. We have to do it. We're doing it. It's important to do it, but we're going to do it a little differently. Here's my question for you, I guess.
He's like, more hot witch.
Yeah, I mean,
fewer dreams. And I'm like, you know what? Okay.
But was the thing that people bumped on the dreams? My recollection is that the thing that people bumped on more was like, Daemon is one of the more fun characters on the show, and he was siloed for too long in this plot and away from other people on the storyboard. Was it really just like the dreams were too abundant? Maybe it was both.
I think it was a part of it.
Yeah.
I think it was in the mix.
All right. I mean, people like Aemond a lot less than they like Daemon. So
They
I'm
sure
really
do.
excited for this, but I'm curious to see what the tolerance for it will be, given that there wasn't a lot of
Well,
tolerance for
and the
Daemon.
question is, how long is it going to go on?
Right.
We don't know.
Maybe we just move right on to drinking the breast milk.
Mm.
I mean, Aemond would like that. But he does have a lot of Harrenhal therapy to work through, and he's in a position to benefit from it in a way that, frankly, Aegon is not. And they're on these parallel journeys of blaming each other. This is where Alice throws the dagger of prophecy across the room as she cradles him, which is just such a
like a
symbolically rich moment. Wonderful stuff. Great stuff. And Aemond, as he curls up against her bosom, Joe, very fetal, he invokes Helaena. And then calls Alice mommy. Let's see it.
She saw it. She said I would die. And I ruined everything.
Incredible stuff.
You know that scene in Ferris Bueller when Ferris, who when they've been pretending to be Myasara's dad, and he goes to pick her up, and she they kiss or they hug or whatever, and he's like, and the principal's like, oh, so that's how it is in that family. That's
Yeah.
So I feel like Alice responded to him being like, mother. She's like, oh, so that's how it is in that family, and then she just starts. She's like, oh. Nursery rhyme humming time.
Yeah.
Mommy
ready.
o'clock. Ready.
Reporting for duty. I thought you were gonna say, did it remind me of when Simon Strong tried to with Daemon, which it kind of did.
But I think that let's just hand Alice everything she needs to have
God.
control of Aemond.
No question.
Oh, hot mom kink. Guess what? Mommy's here.
I'm there's a lot of rich story ahead here. Aemond, undeniably very afraid, which feels notable because this was something that Helaena talked about at the beginning of the season, right? After he claimed Vhagar, he forgot what fear was, but he remembers now. And then when Alicent takes that to Aemond, he's like, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. We talked about this a lot at the beginning of the season, what Aemond's relationship to and response to fear is, and also to loneliness. And, you know, we get the version of like Helaena, once again, like she did with Daemon, just observing. Right. Helaena says to Alicent later, oh yeah, he's at Harrenhal, right? He burns but without fire. So she has access to Aemond's experience here, just as she did with Daemon when she like made her way into the vision. So that's interesting just from the Helaena point of view. But while Aegon and Aemond in this episode are both blaming the other, doing the mommy loved him best and blaming the other for all of the ills inflicted upon them. And they both have reason to do that, right? But also, of course, both have a lot of blood on their ledger. I would say that Aemond is showing clear regret for what he has done in a way that feels a little bit different. He's able to maybe benefit from the Harrenhal therapy here, much like Daemon did, but also like it made me think of when he told, speaking of Sylvie and the curled up on your bosom sequence, what he said to her in that scene, season 2, episode 2 was, I do regret that business with Luke, right? He is capable of looking inward and realizing that he did something wrong. Does he then make better decisions after? No, and that's tragic in a different way than not being able to identify it at all.
I do think it's important that the Aegon and the Aemons, even as they continue to make decisions we don't agree with, are looking inward.
No question.
That just makes them more compelling characters. Similarly with Criston, like, do I think he deserves a full redemption? No. Is he a more interesting character now that he has started to like
reflect?
Yeah, think about it.
No question.
Clean his sword with the lemon. Yeah.
I really love it. It was so satisfying to watch. It was like people cutting a honeycomb. Videos of the honeycomb cutting. I really find that quite soothing. I do, actually. Yeah, that's my preferred form of ASMR. This is your second mention of honey
in a week.
Yeah. I've been on a honey kick, as you know. Yeah. It's interesting on that comparison front, too, to think about the kind of feedback they're getting from those around him, because Larys, as we'll get to soon, was like, I'm going to give you some cold, hard facts.
You suck.
Yeah. Alys is like, let me cradle you against my warm and milky bosom.
Yeah.
And also, you're going to benefit from, you're going to, indeed, you're going to benefit from Harrenhal therapy. So they're getting feedback in different forms, which will be more
Should
effective.
We watch Gentle Parenting versus Tough Love and see which works out better?
Which works. Listen, they both stab people inside of this episode. So let's talk about that. Aemond, learning the truth about Vhagar leaving. This was interesting. That flash of Vhagar's eye, we talked on Talk of Thrones about that, bringing to our memory that cut when Rhaenyra is in labor at the end of season 1. We cut to Syrax screaming. Mm-hmm. And what edits like this Vhagar Aemond moment, that Syrax Rhaenyra moment do, to really heighten this sense of the connection between, the idea that the Targaryens are their dragons. They're so connected to them. And then where is the ability to divide? And then if the tie is that deep, how do you maintain some ability to say the hubris of dragon control?
But also this idea of like Vhagar going around without Aemond. Yeah. And again, like with Aemond and Aegon, finding Sunfire, Sweet Boy, baby. Long and the Dying.
I want everyone to know that we have pet names for each other via text. We will never reveal them all. They're many and varied, but you have, since that discussion on the pod last week, been calling me Sweet Sunfire, which I really like.
My gentlest cream puff.
Great. Had a hard week, and it's really brought a smile to my face every time.
Show me those no beans. But yeah, this idea of like, how can I so it's hard enough for Aegon.
Yes.
Poor Aegon, but like a dragon lord.
Yeah.
His whole life, the most beautiful dragon in all the realm.
Bars from Larys.
To have lost.
So gorgeous, they named him after the sun himself.
Right. To have lost, this absolute symbol of his power and worth.
Yeah.
And then for Aemond, who knew what it was like to live without that power.
Yep.
To once again feel abandoned and to feel, oh no, now I just have to go back to being that boy.
Yes.
The boy that everyone kicked around and made fun of.
Right. And then you get to the indignities of your childhood and your humiliation, like not been sufficiently avenged. Alicent idea of like the cycles that he finds himself in. I feel like you use the word abandon. If you're Aemond, it's worse to think the Vhagar just left than
didn't die.
Yeah.
Left.
Oh, and I loved the no, without her, I'm nothing line. It's real Tony Stark and Peter Parker. If you're nothing without that suit, then you shouldn't have it. To me, I love that moment in Homecoming. So that was on my mind here. But like so much of Aemon's sense of self and identity and worth has stemmed from claiming Vhagar.
But I think she mispronounced a dragon name. Just remember it. I feel like I make mistakes all the time, and
Vhagar.
you're perfect. You're perfect. So I needed that. I needed Vhagar.
Vhagar.
I needed Vhagar.
Show us your toe beads, Vhagar. Oh man.
Like the conversation we were having on Talk the Thrones where Chris was asking, do you think Alys sort of orchestrated that last fight in a way to draw Aemond in to come to her rescue? And I think absolutely without question that she who has defended herself sort of made herself vulnerable so that Aemond could come out and stab them and feed the werewood trees in blood and all that sort of stuff like that.
Yes.
But feel like he can do something. Without her, I'm nothing. No.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Look at that. You
You
took
still
down
have
4.
a Valyrian steel sword and you're a badass fighter
Yes.
with a side wound with like whatever organ's been punctured or whatever.
Still
you know?
assuming kidney, but who knows for sure.
So
Yeah.
like, no, you got it in you.
Yeah.
My guy.
Yeah, fluffing him up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that he made not that Blackfire, after the casting of the dagger, the Blackfire was back in his hand, but to actually pierce one of those would-be assailants on a root of the werewood tree, given the way that Alys not only talked in this episode about the blood and the bones of the castle, but talked about those roots, the roots of the bed that Daemon slept in. It's like, okay, Aemond is making his offering. It was all very good. I had the same read on it as you. Alys could have gotten them out of there in a second if she needed to.
Yeah.
What is your read, speaking of reads, though, on what is happening with... Wow. You're in your bag today. I love Alan Reed. Love. The fact that Vhagar is burning alone. This is new for us, right?
Vhagar.
The fact that Vhagar has rebranded as Vhagar.
Oh, you mean, okay. I thought you meant like the way that Aemond is burning without fire.
The trauma hell of the inferno of Harrenhal.
No, yeah, okay. So in the book at this point, it's Vhagar with Aemond on her back is just indiscriminately burning the Riverlands.
So is Vhagar doing this because it's what she thinks Aemond wants?
I think it's crucial that Aemond isn't doing it from an adaptive point of view, because I think if we're trying to have some empathy for Aemond, it's important that he hasn't just lost all of his marbles and is just maniacally burning the countryside.
Well, and you asked about this in the book spoiler section because we were anticipating Alys and Aemond becoming a part of the same storyline. You were like, well, if Alys cares this much about this place,
right? How is she going to enjoy Aemond just toasting the entire countryside? Guess what? It was Vhagar all along.
Incredible stuff. Just wonderful. You know what else was wonderful? Alys sitting there with the needlepoint. Did it make you think of Ruth from Widow's Bay?
Sure.
Do you think it's the exact same passage? Exact same quote?
Do you think she's needle pointing the tapestry of record?
No, she would never have made some of the choices that have been made
she
this
would
season.
never put Torrin Manderley on the tapestry.
Never put Sabbath the Fray. Sabbath was competition for Harrenhal. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I like too visually, we talked earlier this season about how seeing Vhagar against the scale and scope of Harrenhal really helps cement Vhagar's size. It was the opposite with Aemond in a very effective way when he's looking out from the balcony. He looks like a speck of fucking dust.
Oh, yeah. Harrenhal looked huge. Okay.
Girthy.
Once again, I do have some notes about the green screen look when, so when those guys were climbing the cliffs. Mm-hmm. But then I remembered what it looked like when Jon and Ygritte climbed the wall, and I was like, it looked just like this.
Yes,
and that's a great moment in television. So you know what? I can just unclench about this. Maybe if those guys had made out furiously at the top of the climb.
Exactly.
And
Start
I got
kissing.
to hear Baelish talk about it, then, that'd be great.
The climb is all there is. Great moment in television history. Truly wonderful. What'd you think about on the adaptive change front for Aemond here? And we've talked about other versions of this, the idea that Aemond was like, this victory will be mine alone versus like in the book versus in the show. And again, in the book, it's always unreliable. Whose account is it, right? But versus in the show, like, cannot convince anyone to go with him, right? Begs Helaena, tears in their eyes, and she's like, I'm good, bro. And how sad that is. We get another version of that here because when he finds out from Alys about Rhaenyra taking King's Landing, and it's like, he's so quiet and sad and defeated, I thought I dreamed it.
And Alys is like, maybe this time I don't go, oh, you didn't know. Maybe that's not the approach.
Different energy here. A different energy is required here. Incredible. Oh my God, that killed me. Small wonder then, this is the passage from Fire and Blood, that when word of the fall of King's Landing reached him, the prince felt thrice the fool. His fury was fearsome to behold. This is like real sad boy stuff here.
Everything.
Yeah, and here he's like,
yeah.
Felt that dream dead, broken, completely broken, and
Did
then
you say bowed,
starts
bent, and broken.
Exactly,
Okay.
bowed, bent, and broken. And this is where he starts talking about Aemond and how he tormented him, and Alicent loves him more, and
Aegon, yeah.
Aegon, and Alice is like, I know what I need to do.
Have you seen all the memes? I know you're not on Twitter because you're a better person than I am, but like, have you seen?
Twitter, but I see memes on Instagram.
Have you seen all the memes of just sort of like Aegon being like, she loved Aemond more, and Aemond being like, she loved Aegon more, and Alicent being like, Helena's the only one I really care about. Or like the Don Draper, I don't think about you at all, or just like all these other options.
So
were
good.
just sort of like, Alicent's like, who?
It's great stuff. I did find myself in my notes accidentally writing Alys or Alicent in place of each other a couple times. I'm talking about the mom stuff, which is kind of works.
George, I don't think it was an accident.
It kind of works. Aegon and Larys, speaking of this parallel journey of blaming each other for all of their misfortune.
You know what's really gratifying? How many people are coming around on Larys? My guy Larys strong.
Do you want to just talk about the red apple now, or do you want to wait till we get there?
Okay, here's the deal.
Go ahead.
He's got, and we both agree on this, a shitty Red Delicious apple. It's a Red Delicious. No, it is a Red Delicious apple.
Does it have the shape of a Red Delicious?
It's a little smaller. It's a little small, but it is not one of your beloved pink lady cosmic crisp
certainly not.
Sort of situation, right?
Uh-huh.
Galaxy's Edge. I don't know what they're called. Okay.
Exactly.
He's like, oh God, this disgusting Red Delicious apple. And then Aegon comes back a little like, oh, mopey, like you were right.
Just iron the fucking shit.
Right. And then he goes, here, have an apple. He gives the disgusting, probably wormy Red Delicious apple. We both hate a Red Delicious.
Yeah.
To the shitty king who has come back. He doesn't want to eat it.
Precious at that camp.
Yeah. And so if he liked it,
Larys
he would
was sitting there.
So if he liked it, he would have
He was mid-meal. He had no idea that
no, he was mid-meal and he hadn't eaten it
Aegon
because
he was
like,
saving it for the end because it's
no.
He's Team Red Apple, and that's undeniable and it's clear.
Okay,
he's
so
Team Red Apple.
You want to claim Red Delicious? If you're claiming Larys, you're claiming a Red Delicious.
I don't think that's a Red Delicious.
I think it is.
It's not the right shape for Red Delicious. If you worked on House of the Dragon season 3, can you let us know? We know much remains secret.
Matthew Needham, if you're listening, is Larys Team Red or Team Green?
Was that a Red Delicious? Okay. They're still, before they get back to Rook's Rest and sit with the apple, they have to be out in the woods. Larys and Aegon and everyone have heard word of Wendish Town, right?
And what Vhagar did there.
Exactly. And Aegon's on the march. He says that he intends to find his brother and kill him or die in the attempt. And Larys says, your brother's a coiled viper and you are hungry and broken and spent. And Aegon just goes full John Locke.
Bow, bent, broken.
Yeah.
The 3 Bs, that's you.
Stop telling me what I can't do. Don't tell me
what I can't do.
What I can't do. Walkabout of a sort here.
Yeah. John Locke, though, comes from a very different place in John Locke than it does in Aegon.
It's quite different. Interesting that the language that Larys is using there is the language to keep Aegon in the wear like armor, cripples, bastards, and broken things.
You and me.
Kinship. Yeah.
Us.
Interesting.
About broken.
And I think certainly the fact that Aegon is rejecting that bond is part of what triggers Larys' response. Later, Aegon, feeling very sorry for himself by the busted carriage, launching into a series of just laments against Aemond, right? He was Cole's pet. He was the prodigy with the sword. This was a very funny scene and performance from Tom Glencarney. Quick student, fluent in High Valyrian. We got a little bit of we were saying that, Aegon seems to have, you were like, he's gotten a little bit better at High Valyrian. Fucks it up here, right? Hear me, I am the perfect. Wonderful stuff. And Mother loved him best. So, okay. They're blaming each other. Great. Less remorse from Aegon, certainly. No hot witch to nuzzle him and help guide him toward that remorse. It is really, really, really
May
tough.
you all find a hot witch to nuzzle.
But here's what he has. Larys strong.
Tough love.
Tough fucking love. Aegon had every advantage, Larys said. Every chance to shine. All the things that Larys himself, of course, never had. Because even though Larys is from a proud family, House Strong, Harrenhal, he was never good enough.
He was rejected.
For his own family.
Yeah.
And what did Aegon do with those advantages? Flying drunk into a battle to which you were not invited. Iconic. A dragon so beautiful they named him after the sun. You could have risen to greatness. Did he, or did he do something else? Let's see what Larys has to say.
He lazed, reveling in mediocrity, fucking anything in sight and drinking yourself into oblivion with your sycophantic friends. I will tell you the truth. You were a terrible king. But worse than that, you are a terrible man.
That's in the running for my favorite line of the show to date.
I know you said that on Talk of the Thrones.
I just thought that was incredible. Give me a chill.
Because of the way that Matthew Needham said fucking anything in sight. I actually genuinely really enjoyed that.
Really, really great. But worse, you are a terrible man.
No, I know.
So withering and good. And the performance is so
you
good.
You were a
their
terrible king, but worse than that, you are a terrible man.
It's so good. The performance is amazing. But the idea for Larys that Aegon has wasted these advantages, that would be so galling to him, right?
And he's like, the fact that Aegon, for several episodes now, has been like, woe is me, I'm like you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
When Larys is doing everything he can to keep him alive.
Right. And to say to him, they'll see it as a weakness, but it could be your strength.
Yeah. A listener, Ben, wrote in about Alicent's children and the Stark kids. He said, Joe made a comment on Talk of the Thrones about all the different adults trying to control Alicent's children, and it really clicked for me how much the Hightower, Tark Tower kids, are paralleling the Stark kids from the original Game of Thrones. I don't necessarily think it's intentional from the show's point of view. Obviously, this is what all the kids are up to in Fire and Blood to a certain degree. But it makes sense in a moment where the Black's goodness and the Green wickedness are being called into question. Some quick points of similarity. The family patriarch is beheaded by the monarch currently sitting on the Iron Throne. So an auto Ned comp, tough for me to contemplate. Rob and Helaena end up in their mother's care. Arya and Daeron are in the care of a ruthless, cunning, rich head of house, Tywin or Ormond. Yeah. Sansa and Aegon have been hidden away by someone brilliant and sneaky, but otherwise powerless, Baelish and Larys. And Bran and Aemond are with ancient magical beings attempting to use them in their own century-spanning agenda, Alys and the Raven. Fun.
I like it. Very fun. Very fun. Where does Tywin fit in?
I was so genuinely happy for you. And you know what I was really happy about?
It's crazy because I don't give a shit about this character at all.
You know what I was really happy about? We never settled the terms of our bet, so I don't have to pay up in any kind of regard because we didn't firm it up. Tough for you.
Tough for me.
Really tough. But Tywin's here.
Yeah. And he is.
I watched this episode before you did, and I said, there's something you're really going to like. And I don't know if you had the experience watching the episode where you're like, was it this? This is like when we watched Supergirl and Jomi's like, there's a needle drop. And I'm like, is it this? Yeah. You're like, was it this? Was it this?
I'm like, was it the John Locke reference? Was it the Tony Stark reference? Is it all the cats? I did text you to ask, did someone show their dick?
Yeah.
And then as soon as I got to Thailand, I gasped and I knew.
I was just like, do you think I would text you? You're going to love this episode. Someone shows their dick? Like, no. But Tylen's here.
Yeah,
and you kept the faith.
You think he's blending in with that
with his velvet attire?
Well, what is wrong with this guy?
He's a Lannister.
Cell swords.
He's a Lannister. If it were Jason, it would be way worse, and you know it.
No question. Jason Lannister would just be like, would anyone like to sample some of my honeyed wine? Rhaenyra tossing that wine aside was just so great. So he washed up from the battle.
Yeah, he didn't die. He didn't drown in his armor. How do you feel about the unusually buoyant Lannisters, Jaime and Tyland?
Of all of the connections to other parts of the Game of Thrones canon, this one feels the most
strongest,
present.
the most thematically resonant.
Lannisters just don't sink in the drink.
You can't sink a Lannister.
Oh, man.
You have to cut their head off. It's like a vampire.
Very amusing when he shows up. And, vampire
Ormond.
The
vampire Jason Lannister.
Until they prove us wrong. There's a chance. So this is great because right away you're like, the shift so quickly from, whoa, an ally here, holy hell, into Larys and Tylan, like, oh, so this is how this would help you. Oh, so sorry. Oh, right, of course. You want to make Casterly Rock the new seat of the king. Oh, sorry. Did I miss when Aegon made you hand while I was out actually fighting in our war? By the way, I fucked the wives.
Also, there's a lot of monkeys.
Monkey reference.
You couldn't even handle the monkeys.
Oh my God, the monkeys. His Grace is not going to like the monkeys. Wild stuff. While they're going back and forth, Joe, Aegon is sitting there.
Yeah.
With the crown of the Conqueror just kind of in a leather bag that Janos can very easily find.
If I'm Larys, by the way, that crown is with me at all times.
You know what they should have done?
You know who's not babysitting the crown? Aegon.
You can't leave it with Aegon. That's fucking nuts. Yeah. That's nuts. But even Larys shouldn't carry it. Where is I found an immunity idol on Survivor and I'm going to go bury it. Like, you got to hide this shit. Now, I know there's the risk of what if we need to move quickly, but the fact that they're carrying this
all
on
Larys
their
is trying to
is
do
nuts.
All Larys is trying to do is get on that cog and get out of there.
I know he does really want to leave. You're right. He doesn't want to have to dig something.
No,
but they're going to probably have to dig a hole now for this body.
Yeah,
because Aegon holding some sweet Sunfire scale,
and we should say this is a payoff from this like shifty looking bearded dude who like the whole time, ever since they first showed up near Sunfire, has been like,
yeah. I actually think Larys should have. I know he's very unhappy that
should have clocked
Aegon created a bloody trail here that he now is his very funny.
He's being out whispered by Mysaria at every turn in this episode.
Like, I mean, you see this guy clearly recognizes you. Like, take care of this before it becomes a problem. But he is dealing with Aegon's temper tantrum. So there's a lot to do. It's a busy day for Larys yet again. Yet again.
No rest. No rest
Truly.
for Larys.
Gregor, is it? You may call me Your Grace. I would say that the vibe is not. Aegon is really processing Larys' feedback and working to be better. That's not where we find him.
And that's certainly Larys' response, which is like, oh, brother, what did we just talk about?
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. Tylan and the reaction, I mean, this is a great trio. I'm really
I'm excited too.
Honestly, this is going to be a big, huge boost for my interest in Tylan.
Yeah. Putting him with Larys, totally.
Yeah, Larys and Aegon.
Great stuff.
These
great stuff.
Tragedy triplets.
Tragedy triplets is great. Put it on the merch. I love it. Alicent, Helaena, and Mysaria. Speaking of
straight up having a bad time.
Speaking of tragedy triplets. Moon tea order. So Orwyle, who is spotted by one of Mysaria's little birds, bringing the stunt cocktail, moon tea in his pocket, but making a delivery to Alicent.
Can I just say, I was like, by pocket, you mean like fold of his robe. That moon tea. I mean, and also, I have a note for moon tea.
Tell me.
If the whole thing about moon tea is often like a secretive thing.
Yeah.
We always put it in the same distinctive little carafe thing.
Let's put that in a Gatorade bottle or something.
Come on.
You're right.
You should just write moon tea, abortion tea on the side of it.
Change up the flask is a great note. It's a great note for all of Westeros. You're so right. They're doing something to help us as viewers that makes no sense in world. That's great shout. Orwyle at the door, the Targ guards are there. They're like, you can't come in. He's like, I don't know, disorders of the female persuasion, if you're familiar. Trust a man to be like, I don't want to hear any more, go on in.
Ew. Uterus stuff.
So, Orwyle presents the tea, and I thought this sequence was very sad because Alicent thanks him, calls him, he's like, I've always been a faithful servant. She says, friend. And I was like,
and he's like, nope. He's like, I'm a political animal. He's like, I did smuggle you over to Dragonstone when it was politically advantageous to me to do so.
Yeah.
I did actually help with Aegon when it was politically advantageous for me to do so. Now, not so much.
Now I have to work with Rhaenyra.
They've been on the small council together for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought this was real, like, it made us feel how few people Alicent really has who she could call a friend. It was very sad on that front. Also, I was like, not me mistaking my colleagues for my only friends.
We're friends.
We are.
We're real friends.
We are real friends.
My sweet
Sweet
sunfire.
Oh, man. So, Orwell's like, I can't do this again because Rhaenyra's watching me. But he did it this time.
Here's my favorite thing is like last night you texted me. You're like, I know your phone's about to brick.
Yeah, I know your bricking hour. I know your bricking hour.
I'll text you at the very bricking hour. It was very sweet.
Yeah, I know your bricking hour.
I
know
just like love that you're like, only
Yeah.
13 more minutes to be able to be in touch with Joanna before she bricks out.
Yeah.
I felt seen and known.
And understood.
Mm-hmm.
Love you. You're the best. Listen, if Rhaenyra finds out about this, it doesn't matter that Orwell said it's the last time. It doesn't matter that the Moon Tea, if used, would have actually helped Rhaenyra. It would matter to Rhaenyra that Orwell has this kind of history with Alicent and did this thing without telling her. So
it helps establish
worrying.
the stakes for Mysaria later when Alicent's
Yes.
like, between us, Mysaria's like, I'm not going to keep secrets from the queen.
Right.
I would never.
Not
And
me.
She might.
Yeah. Helaena putting food in the cat bowl on the floor, it seems. Just fantastic stuff. I will not have any beast harm. She's the best. Alicent brings Helaena the tea. There is zero doubt in Alicent's mind what awaits. She says, you must. It could be a boy. Do you see Aegon's heir, a rival to Joffrey, to Rhaenyra herself? She will kill it. She will have no choice. Or if she does not, she will take it from you.
And then Helaena says, I don't want it.
Don't want it. Yeah.
This is fantastic. I mean, like, this is so hard because you see it from everyone's perspective. And as we continue to talk about bodily autonomy on the show, like, you know, we talked about this a lot last week in terms of like Daeron and Ulf, like who has control of their body, who is a prisoner, who is not. But it's mine, it's my own, it's mine, this sort of like Gollum Bilbo moment for her. But just like an incredibly, I mean, I just think, I said this on Talk of Thrones, but I just think Fia is like
really great.
Fantastic this season and this giving her this plot line. And just sort of like watching her later look at the caterpillar in the cage. I mean, we're worried about this like nightshade butterfly caterpillar stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
we've had multiple, the pages of the book
Poison
about the poison
butterfly.
butterfly, and then the conversation between Helaena and Jaehaera this episode about like it would be the death for you and me. It's multiple mentions now.
guess what? Not great. But like looking at that little caterpillar inside the cage, and then her not being able to go outside,
Just wants to look at the moon.
make do at the window, but she can't even open the window. She's just sort of like she's caged in. Yeah. And also, I think Fia has talked about this directly, the actress who plays Helaena, but certainly a lot of people have interpreted Helena's aspect on the show as neurodivergent. Some representation of neurodivergence. And I think especially like when she is talking anxiously about wanting to look out needing to see the moon. It struck me like that demeanor. I just find this performance fascinating, and the writing for her this season I think has been extraordinary.
Really, really great. I loved the the scene. I mean, the way that she responds here to Alicent, just the refusal, right? But I loved also the scene in the Godswood when she clocks that Alicent is lying. They have to go tonight, right?
She heaves like a disappointed sigh.
Yeah.
She's just like,
you look away when you lie.
Yeah.
And, the fact that Alicent, while doing this to try to save herself, to escape, of course, but also to save her daughter, Helaena.
Yeah.
The thing that she has decided is more important than anything else in the world to her, that in order to try to do that, she is asking Helaena to not save her own child, to leave her child behind. And two different versions then of that circumstance here is just the desperate hour for these characters is so palpable and intense here. I thought it was also really interesting to think about Alicent's history with Moon Tea, right? We think about, everything from season 1 is so present here. You have, like we talked about on Talk of the Thrones, that the fierceness of that the root of that seed of that lesson from Otto to Alicent in the 5th episode of season 1, the cleave to her mercy part that we talked about on Sunday, but, the realm will not accept her. To secure her claim, she will have to put your children to the sword, which sparked the you are the challenge lesson from Alicent to Aegon, that this is like an undeniable aspect of this.
But like,
she talks about
I just don't know that I agree.
Yeah, but it's like, that's what's sad about it.
Right. And
The
it's
fact
just like
that-
Otto has poisoned her.
Exactly.
Because, like, and what she keeps repeating, which is like, the crown will make you do stuff. The crown will make you do things, blah, blah. But it's just sort of like, is that true? I mean, Rhaenyra is up against the wall here, and like shit that happens in Flea Bottom in the last episode or whatever, which was not her directive, but like could be traced to her. So like that, like the position is bloodying her hands in ways that she certainly wouldn't want.
Yeah.
But there have been monarchs who
For
have
sure.
not been warped by the crown.
Yeah.
Viserys, I would not say became like a cruel, evil person.
No, more just ineffectual. I agree with
Absolutely.
you. And I think
and
that's what's so sad, that like, whether it's Otto's poison in the well of a different sort in an episode that talks about poison wells,
Mhm.
or that the way that Alicent thinks about the crushing weight of the throne, which she said to Rhaenyra, which she'll invoke to Mysaria in this episode.
and what it did to her.
What it did to her.
What choices she had to make. But I just
There's
don't
the
think
predestination aspect of it.
I just don't think Rhaenyra now bring Aegon the usurper to me. But like, I think, if she had been given the crown,
Right.
she's not killing these kids.
Well, and there's that commentary of like, how much ability do the characters, even when at this point in their arc, they are defining their journeys by saying, I will rebel against the thing that someone has told me has to be true my entire life. The choice to go into the tunnel at the end of the episode, the choice to use the necklace to secure the maid's outfit from a servant in an episode where Alicent realizes everyone is spying on her all the time and that person could just go turn her in. It's all desperation. So we think of the like Rhaenys Alicent window in the wall of your prison, and it's like, that's not enough for Alicent anymore, actually. She needs to break out of the prison entirely.
Big bathtub.
But is carrying that progress with the pull constantly back into these lessons of inevitability from the past. There's like a real tragic aspect to that, the commentary of that story. And like, the Moon Tea isn't the judgment that Alicent brought to Rhaenyra early in season 1 on this like Vows of the Pleasure Den, Daemon, the Moon Tea reaching her, all of that into her own moment of need.
Mm-hmm. In season 2.
Into now a wider, truer sense of understanding and appreciation for the fact that this can save them from a circumstance.
It's almost like you should be a girl's girl from the beginning, Alicent.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah, and so we see all this progress for Alicent, but then the inability in certain other respects to break free. And it's just, you think about the decades and decades that she was spent like having that beaten into her by Otto and other people using her as a tool. It's like, it's very sad. It's very, very, very sad. I did notice that when they tried to make the first escape attempt, Helena's like, where's Jaehaera? And Alicent says, they're going to meet us up. Didn't seem like even after you look away when you lie that the Jaehaera was going to be a part of this. So that's interesting to confront and consider. Alicent does try to protect her child at the cost of her own reputation when she pretends that first it's the headache medicine. Mysaria said she could sniff a lie. She also is a woman of the night and of a many brothel. She could sniff the Moon Tea in a second.
Also, it's in that mug that you always put Moon Tea in.
Oh, man. So she appeals to Mysaria in a couple different scenes in this episode. Initially, it's the indignities that the women endure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also the I am her prisoner as you were once, which is savvy because it's a way to remind her of how tenuous it can all be, right? Your fortune, Mysaria, has improved, but mine, other way. And so that could happen for you too. And then later, when Mysaria is waiting...
Let's break the wheel.
Let's break the wheel. Oh, that is the order of things. So always... Mysaria just waiting at the steps to catch them. Very amusing. Did you think I would not be here? And so then Alicent has to make an appeal of a different sort because Mysaria understands now, okay, Helena's the pregnant one. Inconvenient heir. And Alicent says a couple interesting things. We get the White Worm, your reputation. Cunning figure who others feared, not a lapdog.
These are rich words in the mouth of a high tower. I just love her accent now. I've come all the way back around.
Put her on a podcast. You think she was like lapdog? Let me file that away until I can check in with Jane Eyre and her dogs. Your theory might be right.
Have you seen that the veil is back in the preview for next
I
week?
did notice that. I mean, maybe the
Jane Eyre's dogs are on the case.
Entirely possible.
These are rich words in the mouth of a high tower.
You've got the Mysaria down. Only Daemon can walk that path with Rhaenyra. This is what Alicent says. She's kind of using Mysaria's own game here of working a wedge, spotting the jealousy. But Mysaria is more primed maybe for this than she otherwise would have been because Rhaenyra, in the small council scene when she follows Daemon out, Mysaria tries to stop her to talk to her, and Rhaenyra's like, not now. Gotta go talk to Daemon.
Her attentions may be on you now that you bathe in the warm light of her gaze, but will you stake so high a wager on the whims of a dragon rider?
What did you make of the dragon rider part of that?
These incestuous Targaryens.
Yeah, that really felt like Alicent. It's like it's a tactic here, but sliding back into her.
Oh yeah, just bitter much, babe. Just like honestly, Alicent's like her warm gaze is on you now, but
yeah.
I once knew the warmth of that gaze, and then it slid elsewhere,
and it feels terrible, and I know, and you'll know it too. It's
Rhaenyra is a cunning spider. Long ago, she drew Alicent into her web, intoxicated her. Criston Cole furiously masturbating.
The scent of orange and cinnamon in the room around him to set the mood. Oh my God. Great stuff. Criston feels to me like the kind of guy who would jack off without lotion, just to punish himself a little. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the 7 would want.
It feels good, but so bad. So bad. What do you think Mysaria is going to do here? I think the appeal Alicent makes is really smart. You want to bask in that glow, but you're not as close to her as Daemon is, and you never will be. And trust me, I know.
I think the most interesting thing for the plot is that Mysaria does not tell Rhaenyra
about this. And
so then both Mysaria and Daemon are keeping a key secret from Rhaenyra.
And Mysaria still can fact find and try to gain intel as Mistress of Whispers and use whatever she learns about the veil against Daemon.
But this is good Mistress of Whispers stuff. It's real Larys. I left you Otto Hightower in the dungeons when the Hightowers are back in power.
Yes.
She can be like, remember I didn't snitch on you about the moon tea, even though you got it in the mug that everyone gets moon tea in. Something to think about.
I'm intrigued by this too. What the potential that this sets up and the information that certain people possess and the choices they can make based on that. It's a good place for the story to be. Less good place to be, I would say, is trapped in Rhaenyra's former sex tunnel. The tunnel, a cat.
Phrasing.
Well, they all want to be, as you noted on Talk to Thrones, in Rhaenyra's sex tunnel. Yeah. All of them. The cat. I mean, the cats are around Helaena all the time. There's the cat on the small council table. The cats are everywhere. They're on the stairs. The cat, Helaena, very attuned to the animals. So this was great. The fact that Alicent's like, come to bed. Helena's like, she senses something. The candle by
guttering.
the door.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And so we recognize the mural. This is Rhaenyra's Vows of the Pleasure Den out for a night of fun.
I love
with
that
Daemon.
you say we recognize the mural. Do you think based on the mural alone, everyone at home is like, that's the door Rhaenyra took out?
There's the claws.
Yes. You were like, I remember in season 1 there were dragon claws, or did you consult the tape?
I went to the tape.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah. Listen. Rhaenyra using this for sex and fun.
Yeah.
Alicent judging her in real time for it. Alicent, because they couldn't use the blood and cheese tunnel, which was, as Helaena responded to in real time, a very harrowing thing to even have to confront. And then
in the Lady Baelish room.
That's right. Alicent getting trapped in the tunnel that brought Rhaenyra pleasure.
I also think it's interesting that she doesn't know about the tunnels being bricked up.
This is why. So you asked an interesting question because on Talk of Thrones, I stated very definitively, without any reason to know that it was a definitive thing to say,
theory.
that I like the idea of like the hoisted on your own family petard aspect of this. That the high towers at Otto was like, ooh, Vows of the Pleasure Den. That tunnel in Rhaenyra's room would have gotten boarded up because of the Otto meddling and high tower interference, and then it hurts the high towers all these years later. You asked very reasonably, is it possible that they just got boarded up after Blood and Cheese? I think that is definitely possible. I think it's just more, I want it to be the other thing, but I feel like if they boarded up the Aemond room tunnel after Blood and Cheese because they knew that was the entry point, Alicent would have known that happened and not suggested that they use it. But maybe not. Who the fuck knows?
I'm sure it was Otto. I'm sure it was. And also they can't have blocked up Maegor's tunnels are boundless.
Yes. Everyone who built the Maegor's Holdfast. He was like, "You're dead now. I'm going to kill you. No one will know the secrets but me." Great stuff. What a guy. Listen, at the end of the episode, they show a tease for next week, and Helaena and Alicent are not trapped in the tunnel. So I am a little inert, maybe. I don't know. We were like, "Ooh, what's this about?" You know, Chris is like, "Is this a big deal?" We're like, I don't know. I guess not. But thwarted once again by the specter of Rhaenyra, I guess.
This is our listener, Charlie, wrote in to say George R. R. Martin was heavily influenced in Song of Ice and Fire by Tad Williams' trilogy Memory, Sorrow, Thorn, so much so that he even named the brothers in the House Willem after Memory, Sorrow, Thorn characters, Joshua and Elias. A very important part of those books has a character lost in castle passageways, blinded by darkness, and guided by, you guessed it, a cat's meow.
I mean,
fun.
Delightful. When we were texting about this right away, we're like, because I was like, maybe a cat will lead them to freedom, and you were like Arya. And I was just like, I mean, it's all the stuff I love. This is great. I would say I hope they're okay, but they showed us that
they're fine.
All right, we're done with the greens. Fuck them.
Vaga. See you next week, Vaga. Maybe. Who's to say?
The Black Council. Sabbath of Frey is here. We already kind of talked about this. We should note, I guess, this is like a big book change. I actually haven't seen if there's much chatter about this. It's like Sabbath Frey is a badass warrior and
not an old lady gossip. That being said, I really like this character.
She is like very entertaining.
Along with Torn Manderly, it's like a great, bit of spice on the small council. This is like the spiciest small council that we've seen. Have you ever seen the Danny Kaye movie, The Court Jester? One of my favorite movies of all time.
No, I've not.
But there's this wonderful woman, Mildred Natwick, who plays the witch in that. It's a medieval. There's this very famous routine. The flag with the dragon is the pellet with the poison. No,
but I'm interested.
You have my attention. The vessel with the pestles and the pellet. Yeah. Anyway, the brew that is true. Anyway, this witch. It's like an incredibly cool movie moment. I just bungled it, but this witch character is the one who's like delivering this and she's just got this like really cool expressive face and these like large round.
And there's a witch involved.
Large round eyes, and she's got this sort of like the veil and the wimple sort of look that Sabbath Frey has here, which is also, of course, an Olenna Tyrell look. But I was just sort of like, she reminded me so much of this woman I love from The Court Jester, but just like this. I mean, it's just a great expressive face.
Yeah.
And a great costume that sets her apart from everyone else, like a different style than everyone else. And I think the way that she and Torrin are gossiping is A, funny.
It's hysterical.
But B, like a reminder of, what the whispers in the hall would be, and also just like real fire and blood.
Yeah.
Some people said Mysaria was a great mistress of whispers. Some said whore. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's very
it's highly comic. I love that observation. And also just the end note of, is it always like this? The complete shit show that Team Black is, the fact that these two newer observers are like, these guys are fucking
messy.
Train wreck. Oh no.
Messy.
That's all really, really, really good. Do you think, you mentioned, that Olenna shares that style. One of the greatest things that's ever happened in the history of the internet was that the way that it tells Cersei, I want her to know it was me, inspired all of the cats wrapped in towel memes of
the best
Olenna
one is the cat that's in like a bin.
It's just remarkable stuff.
Yeah.
Will Sabbath Frey, costumed as such, inspire similar cat memes?
One can only fucking hope.
Dare to dream.
What role do you think she's playing on the small council?
Let me say this, and it's another note for Team Black. I don't think they give a shit. They're just like, come sit and help because they're desperate.
Okay.
How?
Well, Torrin's master of coin.
He is,
and
because they needed a
master of whispers.
She is.
Alan is Nepo baby aunt.
Daemon is king consort / he's doing some laws stuff. He's trying to.
You think he's master of laws?
I mean, not.
I think
formally,
if anyone's master of laws, it might be Sabbath of Frey, who's like, remember this contract that you promised me? Who's master of ships? Alan is both hand of the queen and master of ships.
Alan's pulling double duty. Yeah, I mean, Sabbath of Frey, not on Rhaenyra's council in the book, so we don't have a formal title to point to. I would say that Rhaenyra looking at this and saying,
Orwell has a role. Three people have clear roles.
Has a role. Yeah,
Alan has a preposterous role, but it's there. It's just Daemon being like,
Yeah.
I do what I want. So I think this Sabbath of Frey probably has a title. That's what I think.
But none of them would make sense, I don't think. And that's okay.
But
Glad
Daemon
she's
is
here.
just like, I do
Entertaining.
what I want. I'm Daemon Targaryen.
I mean,
King consort.
it's worked to this point. He's
Head
still
of
got
the
it.
dwindling gold cloaks.
He still got it. The speech worked, not for long, but like for a second, they were
On
like,
corpses.
"You know what? Can't spend money if you're disemboweled and dead, but you got me for a second, Dame."
I can't believe you called him Dame. What a CR move.
But CR's on my mind always. The fact that Rhaenyra's like, yeah, my dead son told you can have Harrenhal, but what if I just give you this small council seat instead? I think the Freys are an interesting house, actually, through which to assess that, because they would really value that small council seat in proximity to power and the way that made their house seem important and grand. Like, that would matter to the Freys. But the idea that Rhaenyra, once again, is like, the pledge we made doesn't matter.
Oh.
But
I'm
also,
not giving you what you're asking for.
Yeah,
Hugh,
I'll tell you what you value.
Hugh, no money.
Right.
Ulf, no drink. Sabbatha, no Harrenhal.
That belly is mine.
But would you like this instead?
Like, if you don't honor your word, why should your vassals? Something
to think about.
Adam and Baela make their report here in the small council, and then they're out in the field together. This is great because Adam is very much like the channeling the Rhaenys, Malys when Daemon was like, get back out into the field, and at the beginning of season 2, and Rhaenys was like, Malys must rest and gorge, and so must I. You know, Adam's like, we just got back.
He's like, Baela must rest and gorge.
Yeah. And Baela's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Baela's like, don't tell me what I can't do.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
Vibes on these two.
Real vibes. Adam does a little bit of the like Rings of Power, speaking of rings, adventures they must be shared.
That's interesting. And then I'll come find you and we'll fly to exile, but only if we eat first. That's a little orange and cinnamon to me. So it's a whiff of oranges and cinnamon.
They had real chemistry.
Oh, absolutely.
No question. Baela wearing has put a wardrobe change, put the Targaryen red and black aside, and is wearing Valerian blue. And says to Adam when they're out in the field,
and I know I just
Rhaenyra
said,
won't even talk to me.
I know I just said that Adam and Baela have vibes. They are related, but I don't know why this should stop anyone.
Before. Come on. Come on.
He's her uncle, right?
Yeah. Yes. Wait, let's see. Yeah, because they're Corlys's. Corlys is her grandpa.
Yeah.
And they're Corlys's sons.
Yeah.
Yes. Great stuff.
Uncle Adam. Hot Uncle Adam.
Hot Uncle Adam.
And then I'll come and find you and we'll fly to exile, but only if we eat first.
Wonderful stuff. The pride language I thought was interesting from Baela in that conversation, amid all of the like ordained language, both between them there, but just in general across the episode and the character set. The initial, before they're out in the field and we visit them there, the initial report that they make to the small council, there's a lot of intel being shared. You know, Orwyle has his report. Adam and Baela have their reports. Other people are, Daemon's like, I'd like us to focus on the gold cloaks. And Rhaenyra, that sequence is edited so that multiple times Rhaenyra goes back to Vhagar and Aemond and the like myopic tunnel vision quest.
Vhagar.
Before later saying, okay, like there's an enemy inside
Vhagar
walls.
might be how they pronounce it in high. You know how like when Rhaenyra and Daemon are talking, it's like Daemon. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Vhagar.
I was going to ask you when we got to the Sep scene, what do you think about learning High Valyrian before season 4? Should we try it?
While skateboarding and archerying? Archerying?
Yeah. Exactly. Should we do it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sounds
man.
like a great way to die.
The Gold Cloak conundrum. So Rhaenyra follows Daemon out of the small council meeting and is like, it was very funny when Daemon says Ormond is a fox who's gone to ground, no threat at all, and then later has to be like,
we should have burned him.
Here's this coin. Whoops, I made a few mistakes, but of course.
I said all along we should burn them, says
I didn't
Daemon.
check the kid, and I told you he was a fox who had gone to ground, but I was right all along. Classic Daemon moment there.
Yeah.
Here's what Condell said. Because Rhaenyra initially says, this is not a matter for the crown, the Gold Cloaks, right? And here's what Condell said on Inside the Episode. They, so Team Black, they don't know how to wage combat against him, Ormond, which is exactly the design of Ormond's campaign. It's to make them feel helpless and ineffectual and frustrated and maybe goad them into making a mistake. His design at the end of the day is to make sure nobody wants to be a Gold Cloak and people are afraid to mount a defense in Rhaenyra's name. I would say that Ormond is successfully executing that mission so far. Who's going to want to be a Gold Cloak after the Feast for Traitors?
Yes. And they're also not getting paid.
Right. That's also
No
that.
money and your viscera's on the
What
table.
if I paid you and you got to keep your intestines inside your body?
Wow.
You have to take a shit with those intestines far away from me because I don't like the smell of it, but they can be yours.
Oh, that's so funny to think about. Like, because I've been wondering like how detailed Ormund was in his pigeon carried instructions in terms of like how to wage this war of terror on the streets of Flea
Do it in a
Bottom.
way that smells okay in case I ever need to visit.
Or do it in the stinkiest way. It'll drive them crazy. Bad smells. Bad smells are the worst. Make it smell bad.
He thinks everyone is similarly
He's like,
afflicted.
make it smell real bad.
I love that idea. Rhaenyra is like, Daemon, you're giving me Dragonstone vibes when my entire council constantly tried to wage my war without me, talk over
I
me,
left
tell me I was
Celtigar
wrong.
behind for a reason.
Fucking Celtigar, I slapped him in the face. I slapped that guy in the face in the hallway. Made me think too of when Alicent went to Otto and was like, if you keep challenging me at that table of men, my voice isn't going to carry any weight. You can be the queen. You can be the dowager queen. You can be the queen. The men are always going to try to talk over you and tell you what you should do instead. Daemon, I love Daemon. He's so funny. I laugh when he's like, on the contrary, I've pledged to fulfill your commands. Just later, I chuckle because it's Daemon and it's a hysterical performance, but it's like outrageous. It's galling. Now, we have to balance that with saying that Rhaenyra needs counselors and advice she can rely on and that she wants, and we talked about this last week with like the kind of the kindling of the bond between not only Orwyle and Rhaenyra, but Alan and Rhaenyra, like, who has an opinion? Who has something they can contribute? So Rhaenyra wants to hear from advisors. It was like useless when nobody would offer anything up a couple episodes ago. But that's different from Daemon just being like, the thing you need me to do?
Yeah.
I'm just going to not do it and do the thing I want to do.
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Very, very tough. Daemon tells Rhaenyra, you fucked up by sending the City Watch after the graffiti painters. This is a different version, but a little bit of a piece, at least adjacent to, or while asking Rhaenyra, why does it matter if they anoint you? So what did you think of this? Like, Rhaenyra is very focused on and hung up on the bastard talk for all the reasons we discussed at length previously. Right. Is Daemon right to not worry about it, to let it go? Is this something Rhaenyra needs to stifle and challenge?
I think it's really hard for him to ask that of her when Joffrey, shows up in this very episode. Joffrey, who's the last remaining strong son, who is now the heir to the throne,
That's right,
and is now the most vulnerable. The kid who shows up that Rhaenyra like can't bring herself to see awake because she'll have to talk to him about Jason Luke or whoever else knows what, and is, I think, probably afraid to feel close to him. And Jace was just like, her heir was like in every small council meeting, for better or for worse, was like in every small council meeting, was by her side, had been trained this whole time. She's going to start over with Joffrey, but like Joffrey is so vulnerable the way that Jace and Luke were. And Daemon has just never really cared as much about those boys as he does about his own, blonde
Some
babies.
of his own children,
The blonde boys who are the heir to the throne. Like, I really think he would prefer, like, if this were one of his white supremacist blonde Targ babies that,
he'd go say hello?
Yeah. Well, no, but he would be like, I care what they're saying about my children in the street.
No question.
But this isn't his son. It's Joffrey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's forever going to be a disconnect there.
I think you're completely right. No question. I think there's also like the luxury that Daemon, because people have talked shit about Daemon his whole life.
Yeah.
And he's gotten
he's like hilarious.
Yeah. Either not care or embrace it and somehow like imbue and inject it into his identity.
Yeah.
Prince of Flea Bottom.
Right.
Prince of Flea Bottom.
Right. Lord of the Tides.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. But yeah.
Daemon and Luther. Assess this gold cloak situation. Across a couple scenes in this episode. First, they're out in the streets, King's Landing. Behind them in the shots, handing out the alms to the small folks. So the courtesy of Queen Rhaenyra, the contrast in what Daemon wanted to focus on and what Rhaenyra wanted to focus on. Interesting. But great stuff when Daemon, just what a time in House of the Dragon for Daemon to be advising temperance. But the fact that he's like, you really fucked up, Luther. And Luther's like, my guy, where do you think I learned it?
Remember we used to geld people in season 1?
Remember when we had to bring in wagon after wagon to put all the severed body parts that you have cut off? I learned this from you. What are you talking about? My God. How's the mood among the men?
Not great.
Damon wonders.
It's not great.
They don't have any money. And they are dying in their own shit. So that's not ideal. What did you mentioned last week we got the email about the anachronistic language.
Oh, Bedlam.
What did you make of "it's been a minute"? It's like I was like, wait, what? It's been a minute? When Luther said that, that's weird. Oh God. I think it's interesting for Daemon to have to confront how far his influence can carry them. Right? It was enough to win them the gold cloaks. Can it keep them? And if it keeps them, can that keep them safe?
I think it's not just the influence. It's like, he's so proud of the fact that like it was his guys in the crucial moment of taking the throne. It was his guys and their loyalty to him.
Very validating.
That, won them the day. Otherwise, they were fucked in that throne room. But he's like,
were.
And, so like.
They brought no army.
Stupid. Damon's plan, stupid. But like,
yeah,
the gold cloaks showed up for him, and with this pledge of loyalty, and the North remembers, and all this sort of stuff like that, and
yeah.
And so I think all of a sudden Daemon cares more about them than ever before because they reflect his own sort of glory.
Yes.
Versus Joff, who he could give two fucks about. So,
Sweet little Joff.
I agree, sweet little Joff.
Yeah. I hope we get a look at Taraxes soon. Because Joff is, as you noted on Talk the Throne, same actor. They didn't age the kid up by 6 to 7 years between seasons.
But he looks older.
But older, for sure. Again, it's been a long time since the show was on. So
yeah.
I would love a look at Taraxes soon.
Okay.
Yeah. We already talked about the speech that
Jane Eyre would be like pathetic. That dinky little lizard.
Wet from the egg. God. We talked about the speech that Daemon makes already. So let's go to the Sept. Incredible scene. Incredible scene between Daemon and Rhaenyra, as always. We can have a scene like this if we learn High Valyrian. It's something to think about.
Okay. I'll do it.
Great. We're probably going to have 2 full years.
Lakiri?
So. Lakiri.
Yeah. Lakiri?
Lakiri. Yeah. We're already almost there.
Lakiri. Diamond.
Rhaenyra. Aegon.
Aegon.
Daemon's laughter leading him into the scene as he sees Rhaenyra. Okay, well.
Will you be able to identify it perfectly if she dreams about it later? That was the laugh that Daemon made when he walked into the set.
I have to be honest. Yes. This laugh? Yes. I think so.
You're a wonder.
It's Daemon's the wonder. Great stuff. More chosen by the gods talk in this scene, right? The High Septon may reject me, but the gods themselves made me queen. They sent me a dragon in the darkest hour, says later. If this is their will, then who dares stand in my path?
This is the 2 references inside this episode about Adam being her sort of talisman, right? They sent me a dragon in the darkest hour. She's talking specifically about Sea Smoke.
Yes.
And Adam. And so like just establishing what he means and what that dragon means to her.
Yeah. And Bela's like, she just blames me for her son dying.
And
but
he's like, oranges and cinnamon. There we go. Hot little niece of mine.
Incredible.
I've seen what it's like for uncles and nieces to marry. Speaking of Daemon and Rhaenyra.
On the scenes from a marriage front.
Yeah.
Okay, so the public argument, because the scene goes out of its way to show us that there are other people here. They switch to High Valyrian to create their cocoon of privacy so that others will not be able to hear what they're saying. 2 things. 1, they then switch back into the common tongue to insult each other. 2, they could be speaking any language they want. It's very apparent that they're arguing at the end of this. And so it's just yet again Daemon saying, you are more than this, and walking out. It's not as bad as Sabbatha Frey challenging Rhaenyra in the hall. I loved when Rhaenyra turned and was like, chill.
And Harwin Week was like, bitch.
Harwin Week is gonna stick, I think. Really good. Really good. Yeah, he does the I've got my hand on my pommel to show you this isn't gonna be kosher for long. Move down. It's not as bad as Corlys shouting bastards with 40 people around to listen, But people can see that they're fighting and hear what Daemon says. This is just like, guys, have your arguments in private.
Yeah, it's your old Sansa and Jon. I beg you.
I beg you.
Have one conversation.
You.
Daemon switching to the common tongue really reminded me of when Aragorn and Legolas are talking, and then Aragorn goes, "Then I will die with them."
Yes.
In English.
I love it.
And all the people around them are like, "What?"
As they what now?
You'll die with him. On this You're More Than This Rhaenyra front, our listener Maria wrote in to say this is exactly the line that Lena says to Daemon in Pentos during his depression era.
That's right.
You are more than this, Daemon. The man I married was more than this. Daemon obviously could benefit from learning how to deliver his feedback better, but I came out of this episode thinking that Daemon is emerging as the only Team Black player who can pull Rhaenyra off the cliff. Rhaenyra's I don't know if that's true, but that's an interesting take. Rhaenyra's main struggle is internal. She's overwhelmed by grief and paranoia, making her decisions erratic and short-sighted. Daemon, being a chaos agent, is extremely comfortable during hard times and manages to focus on real external threats to her rule. I don't know that I fully agree, but he can speak to her in a way that other people can't.
I think when Alicent makes the observation about Daemon and Rhaenyra that she makes to Mysaria, it is strategic and it serves Alicent in that moment, but it is also true. It is also true that we were made to burn together marriage proposal from season 1. There is something they share that is distinct. We talked about this since literally the first episode of the show. Every time they switch into High Valyrian and have these conversations with each other, it does cement the fact that they are in a world of their own making that other people are not a part of. I think this is, and the fact that they disagree and bicker so often. I mean, Rhaenyra saying, here you stand outdone. That's like real. I'm upset and angry, and so I'm gonna say something that I know will hurt you and make you feel
Scenes from
bad.
a marriage.
Scenes from a marriage stuff. Very relatable content here. But very relatable
Scenes
content.
from a marriage is so early.
It was like one of the first
things we
handful
covered.
of pods we ever did. You know what? Sometimes just from the word go.
Yeah.
Your end game.
There's magic.
But the fact that they disagree, that they have had many periods of real strife and turmoil, the fact that in this episode there's so much tension, all of that, we have enough reason to believe they'll still work their way back toward each other.
Yeah.
This is why the Rhaena element is so huge right now.
Yeah.
If Rhaenyra learns about that, does it fracture something in a way that even these two can't work their way back from? That has to be on our minds at this point in the story.
Tough.
Rhaenyra is in this cocoon not only of High Valyrian, but of Doom.
A cocoon of Doom.
Cocoon
the
of
Doom cocoon.
That's
not the
cocoon.
That's not the cocoon you want to be in.
Not too late to put that in the Doomsday advertising.
Who says
a Doom
it?
cocoon. I guess it probably has to be one of the X-Men based on how X-Men centric the trailer was, right?
You know who I got most excited to see in the Doomsday trailer?
Tell me.
I don't know, Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah, me too.
I was just like,
it's been so long.
I know.
So long. Yeah. As I texted you.
It's so long.
Heart palpitations when the countdown clock popped up at the end of the trailer and it said 4 months. I was like, I know it said 27 days or something, but 4 months. I ask you how.
I guess on the one hand, yes. On the other hand, I feel like there's way less prep we have to do for Avengers Doomsday.
It's less that and more just, I feel my life melting away and I'm struggling.
Oh.
That's my Doom cocoon. I feel my life melting away.
It's been a real Doom cocoon if you think about it.
It really has. Something stirs against me. Something crouched, something formless. I feel the dread of it. Rhaenyra in this scene, us to each other many times in recent days as we try to remain afloat. So we talked about this with Chris on Sunday, but this is a great beat for Rhaenyra. The look on Emma's face. Rhaenyra is right. Daemon's like, you hear the wind, you think it's an omen. Rhaenyra is right. This will soon be revealed to them, the Ormond plot. Something very real has worked its way into the seat of power that Rhaenyra thinks that she has claimed, right? Ormond is there inside of the city with this plot. The gold cloaks are about to be at the feast for traitors, etc. Okay. But even though Rhaenyra is right, and that means that the paranoia is not unfounded, there is still this question of when does the paranoia sprawl and grow and morph into something that cannot be contained for Rhaenyra. Emma Darcy has been talking about this every week on the Inside the Episodes at the end, the obsession with legitimacy and the creeping paranoia. The trust is so thin for Team Black. There are, as we tracked with Orwell and Mysaria and Daemon, secrets mounting. Any one thing right now feels like it could tip.
This is when you lean on Sabbath the Frey. This is when you make bonds that last with Sabbath the Frey. Something I think about.
Oh, the white worm. Oh, yes. Is it always like this? I'm going to work on my impressions for both of them.
That's
I'll
pretty
get
good.
back to you with something more.
Flea
Great stuff.
bottom.
Feast for Traitors.
This is sick. This is fantastic.
This looked amazing.
I loved this.
I'm just going to say that I'm sad that Hot Luther Largent is
and I'm
already
sorry
dead.
for you.
But dead ahead of schedule. We won't say that the context for the death.
Heterochromia hot guy is alive.
Feeling good about that.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Feeling good about that.
when God closes a door, he opens a window. You know what I mean?
And if the gods have chosen this podcast, who would dare stand in our path
And
on
if
the
the
hot
gods
guys
have
in the show
chosen
front?
heterochromia Hightower guy,
Does that character have a name?
heterochromia Hightower guy, Pigeon Daddy.
Pigeon Daddy. Yes. The price of our humiliation, we should have burned them when we had the chance, when he presents the coin. And then Daemon finds a feast for traitors.
Do you agree with me that the score sounded very Winds of Wintery? The organ on it?
I think so. I don't have the ear for that you do. But
no,
once
I don't have the ear for that. But I think I will just say the score, I was like, something crazy is about to happen.
Yeah.
That's what it made me feel.
There was also elsewhere in the episode when Alys is cradling Aemond and humming, and then we cut into following Orwell.
Oh,
the
yeah, and
humming,
you can hear Taylor humming.
and that's very whimsy. A lot of gold cloaks are dead, so that's tough. So I don't want to say too much here, but I will just say there's a similar tableau in the books. Very different context.
Mm-hmm.
You think that means we're not getting that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to presume. Can I read this
Please.
quote? Elsewhere, his scouts came across a ghastly tableau where armored corpses sat beneath the trees in rotting raiment, in a grotesque mockery of a feast.
Right. So were they like, that's a cool idea, we're going to do it somewhere else?
In the concept art for this,
Yeah.
it's a feast for traitors with the compliments of King Daeron.
Yep.
Was like part of the original idea they had for this scene.
Yeah.
And then I guess they were like, that's a lot of fake blood to put on the wall. I'm tired. Let's just keep it snappy. Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken. Say it once. You don't have to repeat it, you know?
Come on, Maria.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Anything else before we get to the book spoilers, Joe?
I think we did it.
If you don't want to hear the book spoilers, this is where we leave you, and we will see you on Sunday night for Talk the Thrones on episode 6. Okay. The Butcher's Ball setup is pretty great.
Here it comes. It has to be next week.
There's only 3 episodes left in the season. I would be astonished.
There's-
This felt like the Criston dies next week episode, right?
In the BTS, they called his 7-centric speech the final prayer for
Yes.
these boys.
Yeah.
So how quickly into next week's episode does he die?
I feel like it'll be the closing set piece of the
Okay.
episode that will build, because there's still got to be more marching. I don't know. Even I was like, oh, did they sub in the caltrop and play? Like, are they going to do any of the archers from the woods still as he tries to mount this final fight? Or do we have any more buildup? Or is it
We
just
don't
battle?
have, do we know any archers? I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter.
those
I just-
rivermen are out there waiting.
I just
around.
miss all the various people on the Riverland team.
I know. We could have had Bloody Ben here. Just saying.
This is what our listener Andy wrote. Is Sir Criston Cole the Nate Jacobs of House of the Dragon? He doesn't have a ton to do in season 3 except die, I guess. And it's like in season 1, this guy was the absolute worst piece of diabolical shit ever put on screen. Never forget. So you know,
It's
he's just wandering around waiting to die. It feels a little protracted.
I agree.
You know, it has to be next week. I almost think it should have been done earlier.
I think so too. At the beginning of the season, when we were breaking down the trailers, I think at certain points we both thought maybe Butcher's Ball could even be episode 7, a penultimate heading into Tumbleton, and wanting Criston around a little longer. While I have loved the Criston and Gwayne scenes, there has been a sameness to them, undeniably.
I was
that
relieved
it's like,
for Freddie Fox that he gets to now depart
Go
onto
into
his
another
next
plot line.
plot line. Yeah.
yeah. But yes, and they will sing songs about it. It's like, okay, it's happening. It's happening. We're getting Butcher's Ball next week. Great stuff. I also
Who's
liked
killing
when
him? So is it?
I think it's Roddy.
Roddy's gonna kill him.
I think
with the
then-
axe.
Yeah, loose my wolves and me on the hunt, and we will bring him down.
I've come
felt like
to die for the dragon.
They want to
Queen.
prime us inside this episode for that character specifically. Like,
Okay.
remind us that character's in the show, basically, before he kills Criston.
Okay.
But here's the question now that the moment has actually come. We're on the brink of this. We got excited for, like, okay, they didn't do honeymoon. Oh, God. We didn't see fish feet. If Butcher's Ball is a bigger deal, it will be worth it. How to thread the needle between making Butcher's Ball a bigger deal, but still giving Criston the no songs about how brave you died?
That's a great question.
I'm like a little unsure how to pull that off.
If there are skirmishes leading up to it in some degree, I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
Yeah. It almost, because
I'm also a little worried because like these moments in Fire and Blood that like hinge on like one great line. Like George didn't have to write a whole scene. He just wrote one great line.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then it's
our
like
cloaks are gold no
Yeah.
matter how you turn them. And then it's just sort of like, and then they like
And then
almost feel
what?
like they can't use the line. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
oh,
If we got songs in this episode because we're not getting the iconic line next week, I will actually be devastated, and you will have to hold me and cradle me.
we're
as I
very
sob.
we're very lucky we've come to die for the Dragon Queen. But like think there have been a number like Blood and Cheese, there was so much like blood and cheese, and it just like did not land the way that we wanted it to.
Yeah.
Gullet also like didn't quite, you know what I mean? Like these big sort of like someone's gonna die moments aren't hitting the same that they did on Thrones. And it's like almost all the other stuff that's really sort of like doing it for
You're
me.
right, and I worry that they're going to feel that they have to. That the magic of that book moment of Criston, you didn't get the glory at the end, like won't feel like cinema enough as a TV moment, even though it's such an incredible character end.
So good.
Because Butcher's Ball, the massacre of Butcher's Ball, it's after they kill Criston,
And then they kill
and then everyone else
Yeah.
dies. Are they going to kill
But by the way,
Criston
there's
and then-
only like 5 guys left.
Yeah, and also like you said, like we don't know, we barely know
don't know-
anyone else.
No, we don't know them.
Yeah, there's like the one other guy who like has been in a couple scenes with Criston
Like
and
beard
Gwayne.
and
the bald
shaved
guy,
head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not gonna really care if he dies. I don't know him.
Gwayne's gone. Like I thought Butcher's Ball was gonna be Gwayne and Criston, and I was gonna be like pretty invested. But with Gwayne gone, I'm like a little less.
Yes. That said, more excited than ever. We both loved the email we got last week about does Gawain sub into the Caltrops plot? Dude, they had Gawain and his army walk through a field of Caltrops. Like, I feel like he's now going to be like, ooh, you know what we should call our band of conspirators?
Caltrops.
That
in
feels
season,
really
in season
likely
4
now.
when he's like, back in season 3 when I was a horse with Kristen Cole.
Horse!
I think I told you that I saw an interview where the cast was asked to give 3 words of advice.
Mhm.
Maybe
You
4
told me
words
that
of advice.
Olivia was like the window, right?
Close
Yeah.
that window. Both Freddie and Fabian, they were in the same interview together, were
Yeah.
like, stay on that horse. But I'm like,
Well.
what choice did they have to stay on that horse? The horse was like collapsed from underneath them. But yeah, then they have to trudge through the bog. But I think it has to be related to this horse moment.
Agreed.
A
Agreed.
horse?
I was wondering too, on the continuing to track theories from last week, because the book spoiler section last week had so many great theories in it. You introduced the idea Daeron potentially poisoning Ormond's, because we got the email about Ormond's
Oh,
pomander.
Pomander.
And you introduced the Daeron possibility.
Mhm.
Very enticing. What about Gawain?
What about together?
What if Gawain spares Daeron from having to do that and does it?
I'm really excited to see Gwayne and Daeron together. What is that dynamic going to be like?
Can't wait. Speaking of interesting dynamics, here's another version of my Butcher's Ball question that I just asked you. On the Aemond and Aegon front, I'm at a loss here. How is the show going to pay off their mutual obsession with each other, given that their plot lines are not bringing them back to each other?
They'll never see each other again.
And certainly not decisively. Are they going to introduce kind of a, we didn't know that Rhaenyra and Alicent shared these moments version of that for them? That wouldn't.
I feel like it's all going to, and maybe in this episode, Aegon's like, go ahead, hire the ship. So like maybe it's already over for Aegon. His like, I got to find Aemond thing.
Okay. That doesn't feel like so satisfying to me, but I don't know. I mean, they both have iconic like final stretches of stories. So I don't want anything to change about God's Eye with Aemond and Alys and Daemon.
Which one of them is dressing up as a nun to see the other? It's Aemond.
Oh my God.
Maybe they'll have a dream convo and Helaena could be there.
I feel like that's actually the answer.
Okay.
That actually is probably what's going to happen.
All the kids are going to hang out and dream.
Well, because it feels like there's going to be a little bit more progress for Aemond than for Aegon.
Yeah.
So maybe Aemond does get to commune with Aegon in the dream in a way that like allows him to move forward.
Release, yeah.
And Aegon doesn't get that. And that's part of why he is like, I'm going to jump off my maimed dragon and shatter my body further.
We got a really interesting email from a listener who said they think they're trying to make Aegon look like a dragon, like with the way his burned makeup is looking, that he's like, because like Sunfire and Aegon and their sort of maimedness is supposed to be like an interesting thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think Helena's going out that window?
Well, and also what role does the bug stuff play?
I know, the poison bug stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if they can't, they've given us too much window setup now to change the window outcome.
Maybe, but like,
or do you think they're just like, we're giving you the window?
Yeah, we're giving you the window now, so we don't, because we're not going to give the window to you later.
Does Helaena use the poison?
I just don't think she would kill herself. Because if she's like,
I always thought that until George's blog post.
Oh,
that was the first time
that
I was
that's
like,
what he thinks. That's the issue.
I don't want this to be apocryphal and for me to misremember this, but I feel like he was in that blog post was kind of like, if they don't have Mallory and the Bitterbridge death and all these extra sources of grief, why would Helaena kill herself? Maybe that's not right, but I feel like he heavily implied that it was in fact suicide. But maybe he just meant, first of all, maybe he didn't write that and I don't remember.
Right.
But maybe he just meant, frankly, enough to keep that possibility plausibly alive in the story as one of the sources of narrative and story that someone could say.
All right. So in the post, you were right. George says, in Ryan's outline for season 3, Helaena still kills herself for no particular reason. There is no fresh horror, no triggering event to overwhelm the fragile young queen. But like, because Bitterbridge is missing. Right. But I don't know how, when or how or why, if the outline has changed since then. Yeah. But I feel like there's enough fresh horror.
No question.
In this season for like Helaena to kill herself. The thing that I wonder about is like, I don't think she would kill herself with the baby still inside of her because of her whole like no living creature will be harmed sort of thing. But I feel like if something were to happen to the baby, if she miscarries or, whatever, I could see her killing herself in that instance.
If something happens to Jaehaera, which would be a major timeline tweak. Given that
I just don't think a pregnant Helaena is killing herself.
I agree. And
I could be wrong, but like it will need some greater explanation for me to buy that.
Yes, I'm with you. Will there be like a poisoning that leads to some altered state?
But like her mind is quite on the verge.
Will it dream? Because so there is and this was not, I think we talked about this a lot at the end of season 2, the most perfectly executed examination of like destiny and free will. But what Helaena said to Aemond about it wouldn't change a thing. We talked about the possibility at the time, if I remember correctly, of like, well, what has Helaena seen about her own future? And when maybe they'll like, and we talked in this season, I don't want to be in this room. Has Helaena seen her own death? And, when we talk about these themes, like I'm always like, breakthrough, push. But in Thrones, for sure, one of George's, main areas of interest is self-fulfilling prophecies and maybe leading to an outcome that you sought to avoid. I don't know that we have enough time for that to feel like it totally lands. If something like that happens here, only 3 episodes left in the season, and that Olivia Cook quote certainly makes it seem like Helena's death is this season. So does that George blog post. So
is it finale?
I wonder if Butcher's Ball is next week, Helaena is episode 7 and Tumbleton is the finale. Like a big, big thing.
Yeah.
Every time. But I don't know. There's a lot that has to happen still. I'm so attached to Helaena. I'm like really dreading this. It's going to be devastating. I guess there's also, they could use the butterfly poison stuff like on someone else to try to escape again. Maybe that's in the mix.
I don't know.
Can someone get that to Gwayne to use on Ormond?
Ooh.
Is there time for
In
that?
the Pomander? Crush up those
I don't know.
nightshades? The main thing that I wanted to make sure was in here, you already had, which is Baela vibing with Adam when
wrong
brother.
wrong brother.
But
Baela and Alan end up together.
Baela and Alan end up together, but wrong uncle, we should say. Do you think this would cause friction between Adam and Alan? Canonically, no friction between Adam and Alan. Beloved brothers, loyal to each other to the bitter end. But
maybe
Adam seems like he has a soft spot for Baela,
for sure.
And I don't know what that means with Alan.
Maybe there's a real spark here, and then after Adam's death, their mutual mourning brings Baela and Alan together.
Oh,
because there's a little, yeah. I don't know. There's also with Baela, and this falls into the larger thing we've been asking of how much time is there at the end of this series for Thing X being literally everything after Rhaenyra and Aegon are killed.
Yeah.
Among those, this is how the business of the realm is unfolding. There's a lot of who are we going to marry Rhaena and Baela off to, right? And Baela in the spirit of rebellion, and Alan just we're going to do what we want.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there could still be room for a real mutual attraction between Baela and Adam in the short term, and then something developing later with. But again,
I'll be married off
honestly,
likely enough to some ancient self-regarding lord and pike with enough hoarded gold to pay Rhaenyra's debt.
Well, the Greyjoys are going to be on that list of what if we married you to family X. So there you go. Let's see. God's Eye set up with Rhaenyra wanting Daemon to find Vhagar, and Daemon's I felt like that was a nice tease for season 3. That was pretty good. What else? Shepherd.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So our listener wrote in with a cat theory. Only cat. Frank wrote,
once again, you have my attention.
Who has a better story than Cat of Tumbleton?
Oh, thought you meant cat like the cats in the Red Keep.
The shepherd's just 5 cats stacked.
I was really excited to hear the email.
5 cats in a trench coat.
And they think he's missing an arm, but his cat just pulled the paw out because it's a cat. But no, you mean Hugh's wife.
K-A-T.
Who I'm less interested in, but I'll allow it. Go on.
Assuming that she survives Tumble 2, who among the common folk would have more reason to hate dragons than Rhaenyra specifically? She's been around for a couple seasons, I guess. And while she's familiar, there's nothing that is obviously leading to this change at this point, but it doesn't take too many steps to get her there. The war has already taken her only child. The rest of her family will likely all be dead due to the war in general and probably directly by dragonfire. If she survives, she would easily end up disfigured, and it keeps with the theme of the show that contributors to Fire and Blood keep giving men credit for things that women do.
Interesting. I think this would be over-indexing on our perceived investment in cat.
But
not on
Ryan,
cats.
If it's cats of the sea, we're listening.
Oh, God. Great stuff. This is what I needed this week. It really was. Anything else?
I think your note here about the cat's paw dagger making it out of the God's Eye, this might not make it out of the bedroom, is really funny.
Oh, God.
I think that's it for book spoiler look ahead stuff.
Fantastic. We're more than halfway through the season. I'm upset. Only 3 episodes left. And then only 8 episodes left next season. There's a lot of story left.
But in Night of the Seven Kingdom, many seasons to come.
I will take 13, 14, 17, however many they want to do.
Okay, great.
I'll take them all. All right. Thank you to the Bad Babies. And thank you to our Queen's Guard. Carlos, Scott, Jacob, Arjuna, Jomi. Was anyone else here today? I ran right past the control room in a panic.
I saw. If I missed someone,
I
do apologize.
Thank you to the whole squad. Everyone's the best. Please join us in San Diego. If you will be there, come to
Whiskey Girl
on Thursday night for the meetup. No pass needed. Come to our panel with the Midnight Boys Pew Pew Saturday morning. Pass required. We'd love to see you there. And then we'll see you on Sunday night when we are back in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
For Talk of Thrones. on episode 6 of House of the Dragon.
And the plan right now, by the way, is for us to go live for
That's
the
right.
Talk the Thrones finale.
That's right.
That's in a couple weeks, but just sort of mark your calendars.
Get in there.
Yeah.
Get in there. Fire questions in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
Share some thoughts on whatever hat CR has worn.
I will not be wearing a hat. Never again.
I thought you looked fantastic.
Never again. All right. Thank you. Bye.